Chapter 122. One move defeats Prince Aolong. Yingyo takes action. In a luxurious palace in Chu City, the guards outside the palace had a powerful aura and stern expressions. Obviously, they were not a force in Chu City. When pedestrians saw this on the street, they all hid far away, their eyes full of fear. This place is the base of the Taiku Jiang family. With our Jiang family's two heroes going on this immortal hidden clan expedition, there's no need to worry about not making it into the top 10. An elder sighed, looking confident of victory. The other elders also nodded, very confident. Being ranked second on the heavenly ranking and 11th on the heavenly ranking, he should be able to make it into the top 10 at least. Of course, they didn't dare to say that they could make it into the top 5. You have to know that Xianzong is a small world, and they would have to fight with the geniuses from several other domains. Among the 10 domains, Xiantian domain ranks third, and above it, there are two competitors who are eyeing it covetously. It is conceivable how fierce the competition in the immortal treasure is. In each domain, 20 geniuses will be sent out to fight. In the 10 domains combined, there are a total of 200 top geniuses. Before, no one from Xintian realm had ever set foot on the top of this immortal treasure, and even among the top 10 realms, no one had ever set foot in. As for the Jiang family, with an ancient monster in their family, they only said that there is a chance to enter the top 10, which is enough to show the cruelty involved. Just as everyone was thinking, the void was suddenly torn apart, and a figure covered in blood fell to the ground. After seeing clearly, the elder of the Jiang family was shocked and quickly stepped forward to support him. This person is none other than one of their evildoers, Jiang Che. What happened? How did you get injured so badly? Who is it? These elders were furious and very angry. You know, the immortal treasure is about to be opened, and there are still people who dare to hurt their Jiang family disciples. Isn't this a slap in their faces? He was injured by someone with double pupils. At this moment, another voice came from the void. It was Jiang Ingwe, a person with double pupils. After hearing this, the elders were shocked and said in disbelief, "These two people have nothing to do with each other. So how could they have offended someone with double pupils?" They looked at Jiang Ingwe, wanting to know the reason. For the specific situation, you should ask this loser. I'm too lazy to tell you, Jiang Ingwe said unhappily, her eyes flashing, and she quickly disappeared from the spot. She wanted to go and see the fight between the two men. Atop of Chujia Mountain, Prince Aolong stood in the void, and when his eyes opened and closed, a dragon soul rushed out with astonishing power. Within his body, there was an extremely strong energy and blood. After he saw Nangong Chen riding on the dragon, he felt a little angry. His proud dragon holy body is related to the dragon clan. Isn't Nangong Chen's behavior a naked humiliation to him? Well, now that I am bathed in dragon blood, my physical body has been greatly improved. I am no longer the same as before. The one with double pupils will definitely not be able to defeat me. Prince Aolong had a fierce look on his face, and the dragon pattern on his forehead was bursting with light, full of power. This time, he would defeat the man with double pupils and severely humiliate him in front of everyone. Prince Aolong thought viciously, and then glanced at a place below with an extremely obsessed look. The place he was looking at was the Chu family. That is, Chu Yan. You're finally here. You've kept me waiting for so long, you heavy pupil. Prince Aolong's eyes were icy as he gritted his teeth and spoke each word. Nangong Chen stood with his hands behind his back, his expression calm. He stepped on the dragon's head, his white robe rustling, and his body enveloped in divine light, as if the white-robed god-king were alive. You were defeated by me, so you were naturally waiting for me, but you didn't know that I never considered you an opponent. Nangong Chen's eyes were deep as he spoke in a cold voice, with overwhelming momentum and an invincible aura. As soon as these words were spoken, the whole place fell silent. Everyone had only heard that people with double pupils were arrogant, but no one expected that he would be so confident. On the streets, the beautiful eyes of those female geniuses shone brightly, and their hearts were beating fast. This kind of monster is the perfect Taoist partner in their minds. The other major forces all looked at him intently. They wanted to see whether the person with double pupils was as strong as he claimed. Prince Aolong looked embarrassed. What the man with double pupils said seemed to be true. Boy, last time the prince was lucky enough to get a sneak attack from you, because you outnumbered him and forced him to drain his blood. This time I'm waiting here. You won't have such a good opportunity. At this moment, a monster of an alien race among Prince Aolong's followers spoke loudly. Noisy. As soon as he finished speaking, Nangong Chen raised his hand and a divine light flashed. The next moment, the monster's head fell to the ground, and there was no life left. This scene stunned everyone. It was so fast that they didn't even see the attack of the person with double pupils. You're looking for death. After Prince Aolong reacted, his eyes turned blood red, and a murderous intent burst out, and he rushed directly towards Nangong Chen. The dragon pattern on his forehead was shining brightly, and wings grew behind him. As his holy body was activated, a dragon's might emanated from his body. Dragon Seal. Prince Ao Long took out the holy weapon and shouted loudly, and powerful energy poured down from the sky. This power was so overwhelming that it turned into a divine dragon and rushed towards Nangong Chen, as if it could tear the void apart. That's it. Seeing this, Nangong Chen was a little disappointed and shook his head. He didn't expect that after a month, he was still such a waste. It really made him feel unhappy. Nangong Chen's pupils were blazing, and he slowly and calmly made a hand gesture. The world was vast, and countless thunder spells condensed in his hand. Suddenly, the sky changed drastically. Dark clouds came in, lightning flashed brightly, and a sea of thunder gathered in the sky. In his left hand, he clenched his fist. The fist wind was mighty, and the Qilin roared, bursting out with tremendous power, like a natural king. The Qilin magic and the Thunder Emperor magic are used together. The combination of the two powers is like a planetary collision, and the waves emitted are enough to shatter mountains and rivers. What kind of thunder technique is this? It's so powerful. A saint looked shocked and couldn't help asking. That Qilin's roar, could it be the legendary Qilin magic? Some people said uncertainly, their eyes full of surprise. Boom! The entire peak of the Chu family mountain was covered in white light, and the slight fluctuation that erupted leveled countless mountains and rivers. After a few breaths, the white light dissipated, and everyone couldn't help but widen their eyes when they saw this scene. Prince! The pterosaur shouted, panicking. Prince Aolong was seen kneeling in a pool of blood, his body in tatters, even flashing with lightning. The most shocking thing was that the holy weapon was directly disintegrated, leaving only a corner there. Prince Aolong's face was pale, and his eyes were full of fear. He couldn't believe that after absorbing the dragon blood, he could still be defeated by Nangong Chen, and even a crushing defeat. Nangong Chen stood in the void, his white clothes spotless, his black hair flying, and his double pupils opened and closed, exuding an unparalleled aura. I've said before, I never consider an enemy defeated by me as my opponent. Nangong Chen said calmly with a cold look in his eyes. After hearing this, Prince Aolong spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted. I'm going to kill you. Seeing this, Inyo became furious and rushed towards Nangong Chen with murderous intent. Chapter 123. Quasi-saint is shot down in one shot. The protector takes action. The terrifying aura of winged ox was released without reservation. When everyone felt it, their faces changed. He turned out to be a quasi-saint. Nangong Chen's pupils were blazing as he watched the winged bull rushing towards him. He remained calm, standing in the air, his white clothes fluttering in the wind. When everyone saw this scene, their pupils shrank slightly, and they were shocked. Is the person with double pupils crazy? Why doesn't he avoid it? Yeah, could it be that he was frightened, silly? Some people were sneering. After all, the strength displayed by the person with double pupils today is really too monstrous. If he enters the immortal treasury, it will definitely cause a lot of trouble to the geniuses of his own forces. So, they prayed secretly, praying that the person with double pupils would die here. At the Chu family, Chu Yin saw this and looked very nervous, inexplicably worried about Nangong Chen. Father, can you help me? Chu Yin couldn't help but ask, her beautiful eyes revealing anxiety. When Chu Shana saw this, he was very upset and felt that his little cotton-padded jacket was turning outward, which made him tremble. Just as he was about to make a move, a voice rang out. Clan leader, no. This is a conflict between the hidden dragon immortal dynasty and those with double pupils. If you act without authorization, I'm afraid it will cause dissatisfaction from the hidden dragon immortal dynasty. There's no need for us to get involved in this pool of dirty water just because of some personal relationships. At this moment, an old woman spoke slowly, her eyes a little cold. After hearing this, Chu Yin looked at her deeply and responded. Those with double pupils are incredibly talented and have enormous potential. If we lend a hand, we will definitely gain their favor. When those with double pupils rise to prominence in the future, they will also be able to help us. How can we talk about a personal relationship? This person is the leader of another faction of the main family, named Chu Ruchuan. He is now over 60 years old, but he often opposes her, which makes her very disgusted. When it is her turn to be in power in the future, she will definitely purge this lineage. Miss, you're still too young. Do you know that if we help the person with double pupils, he'll be grateful to us? People's hearts will change after all. The old woman insisted on her point of view and retorted. Chu Yin was speechless for a moment. She really couldn't judge the character of the person with double pupils. But after the last trip to the Nine Heaven secret realm, she could feel that the person with double pupils was not a bad person. However, This was ultimately her subjective judgment, and she couldn't say it directly, which made her feel very frustrated. Father. Chu Yin then looked at Chu Shanhe and spoke timidly. Chu Shanhe was a little embarrassed. After all, he also felt that what the old woman said was right. As the head of the clan, he naturally has to consider the entire family when considering things. However, he is also a father and has to listen to his daughter's opinion. For a moment, Chu Shanhe was silent, his expression complicated, and he was in a dilemma. After seeing this, Chu Yin stopped talking, sighed in her heart, and looked at Nangong Chen. I hope your protector is with you this time, otherwise you will be in real danger. She remembered that Nangong Chen had a quasi-saint protector. The old woman looked very complacent and glanced at Chu Yin, the meaning of which was very obvious. You idiot, you still want to fight with me? You're still too young. Then, the old woman returned her gaze to the current situation, her eyes deep. She knew that the person with double pupils had 2 places, both given by Chu Yin. If the person with double pupils died, she could take these 2 places and resell them to other forces. For her, it was a sure profit. So, you'd better die. The old woman looked at Nangong Chen and thought viciously in her heart. Seeing that his punch was about to hit the person with double pupils, Inyo couldn't help but feel excited, and a bloodthirsty look appeared in his eyes. The power of this punch is enough to hit with his full strength. Even if he is at the God King level, he will turn a blood mist after receiving this punch, let alone this kid. You die, you double-pupiled one. Inyo said in a deep voice, his tone full of coldness. Dead? I think it's you who's going to die. Nangong Chen smiled, a hint of a smile on his lips. Boom! A ray of divine light descended from the sky at an extremely fast speed, directly tearing the void apart, flashing a dazzling cold light. When Inyo saw this smile, he was stunned and confused. Why didn't the person with double pupils avoid it? Was he scared silly by him? The next moment, a bone-chilling chill rose from Inyo's heart. His expression changed, he looked up at the sky, and the smile on his lips gradually stiffened. That was definitely the fastest light he had ever seen in his life. Boom! A crisp sound of bones breaking resounded through the air. The winged bull in mid-air crashed to the ground with a loud bang, raising a cloud of dust, its body still in a punching posture. On its head, a divine arrow pierced through its flesh and blood, and golden blood gushed out. This happened so suddenly that no one could react. They only saw a flash of golden light, and the next moment the winged ox suddenly fell down. What happened? Someone couldn't help but ask in shock. The smoke and dust obscured their vision, and they couldn't see what was going on at all. Inyo's face was pale, there was uncontrollable panic in his eyes, and his body was shaking constantly. He wanted to pull it out. However, this golden arrow seemed to have infinite power, firmly nailing into his head. Even if he used all his strength, he could not move it at all. Instead, because he used too much force, the wound ruptured, accelerating the fading of his vitality. At this moment, Inyo was completely panicked and roared. Who on earth dares to attack me? I am the #1 general of the Qianlong Immortal Dynasty. If you kill me, the prince will not let you go. Your family and your power will all be buried with you. After hearing this, Nangong Chen's eyes became even colder, and he stared at him as if he were a dead person. Threatening my family. You really don't know how to spell the word death. You like being buried with others, right? I'll send your son down to be buried with you. How dare a beast like you hurt my young master? You're really courting death. In the void, the golden eyes peeked out. Those eyes were extremely terrifying and carried extremely strong pressure. The figure did not reveal itself, but the aura it emitted was enough to make the void tremble. Qian said in a cold voice, his eyes icy. When Nangong Chen saw this, his mind suddenly realized, and his eyes flashed. It turns out that my father said he had arranged an expert for me, and it turned out to be Uncle Qi. But what about Mr. Mu? Did he retire? He was a little confused. At this time, the smoke and dust dispersed, and when everyone saw this scene, they couldn't help but open their eyes wide and looked shocked. The winged ox was unexpectedly shot through by an arrow and nailed to the ground. Now it looked like its life force was gone, and it would probably die soon. When they saw the terrifying figure in the void, they suddenly realized and gasped. Killing a quasi-saint in 1 second with a single arrow. Just how powerful is this person? Everyone was a little hesitant to guess, and a sense of palpitations came over them. Chapter 124, I will give him time to become a master, and I can suppress it single-handedly. After some powerful people from big families felt Qi Yun's breath, their faces suddenly changed, and a hint of astonishment appeared in their eyes. This is actually a powerful saint. At this moment, in Chu City, no matter whether it was the Chu family, the Sun God Palace, the Jiang family, the Howren Pavilion, or other top forces, the protectors who came with them were all extremely shocked. Behind a man with double pupils, there is actually a saintly protector, Not only that, he is also a saint who is skilled in archery. Do you know how terrifying this is? Saints themselves have higher cultivation than them, not to mention that they use bows and arrows. If anyone provokes a person with double pupils, they will die without knowing how they died, and they may even disappear from the world. Thinking of this, they felt a chill in their hearts, and some of them broke out in sweat. It seems that they want to tell their juniors that if they encounter someone with double pupils in the future, they must not get into conflict unless absolutely necessary. At the same time, these people couldn't help but wonder how terrifying the power behind this person with double pupils was, that they could actually send a saint to protect their juniors. You know, those evil disciples of theirs are only protectors of the quasi-saint level. What happened today must be told to the head of the family without missing a word. The power behind the person with double pupils is definitely not as simple as imagined. We must find out. Everyone's eyes flickered, revealing extreme uneasiness. At this moment, Inyo saw the figure in the void. His pupils shrank slightly, and his face was full of disbelief. No wonder people with double pupils are so fearless and calm. It turns out there is such a person behind them. He glanced at Prince A.O. Long with a bitter expression. A force that could dispatch saintly protectors might not be as simple as he imagined. I don't know if I can ever avenge this vengeance in this lifetime. My prince, please keep a low profile in the future and don't provoke such a powerful enemy again. I will go first. Winged Ox slowly closed his eyes. The last bit of life completely dissipated, and with a bang, his huge body fell directly into a pool of blood. No! At this time, Prince A.O. Long happened to wake up. Seeing this scene, his eyes turned red and he yelled. He didn't expect that Inyo, who had been with him for so long, would die in front of him. For a moment, anger, unwillingness, regret, and other emotions filled Prince A.O. Long's mind, and his face became more and more distorted. It's all because of him. They all have double pupils. If it weren't for him, how could I fail again and again? You know, from childhood to adulthood, he has never felt so aggrieved. He came from a humble background, starting out as a slave in a small family. He relied on his own talents to climb up step by step to where he is today. How could he fall here? In the end, Prince A.O. Long was left with only endless anger in his heart. His eyes were ice cold, and an extreme murderous intent burst out of his body. He wanted to kill the man with double pupils, cut him into pieces, and wipe out his entire family. At this moment, perhaps because of anger, Prince Aolong's holy body actually emitted a monstrous blood energy. With a gurgling sound, the last shackles of the holy body were broken. All kinds of spiritual energy between heaven and earth were madly pouring into the body of Prince A.O. Long. Prince A.O. Long's body kept changing, and he even grew a layer of dragon scales and a pair of crystal dragon horns on his forehead. This is the last transformation of the proud dragon holy body, transforming into a dragon. If he enters this realm, his body will transform and reach the physical strength of the legendary dragon-blooded offspring. Of course, there is still a big gap between it and the physical body of a true dragon descendant. At this moment, an extremely terrifying energy was hidden in the body of Prince A.O. Long, and the pressure it exuded was enough to make everyone change color. Oh no, Prince Aolong's holy body is about to be completed. Someone saw this scene and said in shock, "Why hasn't the one with double pupils taken action yet?" A genius asked in confusion. Everyone was also very confused. Logically, when the holy body was undergoing transformation, it would be the weakest. However, the one with double pupils was just watching without any intention of taking any action. Nangong Chen was calm and composed. His face was calm, his black hair was flying, and his double pupils were blooming with astonishing vision. His demeanor was like that of a supreme young man, which moved everyone. So what if the holy body is fully developed? I'll give him time to achieve it, and I can suppress it single-handedly. Nangong Chen's words were shocking. His fighting spirit was soaring, and he was not afraid at all. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone's scalps went numb and a sense of respect surged in their hearts. Looking at the figure of this young man, it was as if they were seeing a future emperor of heaven. What kind of confidence and courage does this show? I'm afraid no one in history can match it. The female geniuses from various major forces who were watching the scene screamed. Their beautiful eyes filled with strange light, and their delicate bodies trembled slightly. This scene is even more grand and shocking than the one in the Nine Heavens secret realm. Most of them had only heard of the name of the person with double pupils before and did not have any feelings about it. But today, after the battle on the top of Chu Family Mountain, Nangong Chen's figure and image were completely imprinted in their hearts. After today, it is conceivable that the reputation of people with double pupils will reach an unprecedented height. As for some male geniuses, the jealousy in their eyes disappeared at this moment and was replaced by a look of respect. They're really not jealous that people with double pupils have so many female fans. It is purely their personal charm that makes them somewhat impressed. At the Chu family, when Chu Yin saw this scene, her beautiful eyes also burst into light, and she stared at the peerless figure in a daze. After a long time, she curled her lips and smiled. Her skin was snow white, and her beauty made the world dim. She actually envied the white-haired woman for being able to find such a good man. Over at Howard Pavilion. Fuck, this guy with double pupils is so handsome. He's my big brother from now on. Even a saint can't stop me. Xiong said excitedly, holding a small notebook in his hand, which contained Nangong Chen's quotes. When Yu Rushan saw this scene, the corners of his mouth twitched. Who was it that said before that he didn't want others' protection? Young people nowadays change their faces faster than each other, especially that guy. Yu Rushan sighed, thought to himself, and turned his gaze to Nangong Chen. A disdainful voice was heard from the chariot of the Sun God Palace. Oomph. This person is too arrogant. After Prince Aolong's holy body has reached perfection, even I can't say I can win. I can only say that the person with double pupils is still too naive. Yi Guqing sneered and shook his head, his eyes full of pity. What a pity. I can kill a powerful enemy without even having to do anything. Yeah, what a fool he is. It will be hilarious if I see him lose to me later. An elder from the Divine Palace echoed this, his tone very disdainful. Boom. Atop of Chujia Mountain. Prince Aolong's body was covered with dragon scales. When he opened his eyes, an ancient and terrifying aura burst out from his body, and the waves it caused were enough to change the color of the sky. Holy body, it is accomplished. Chapter 125. Holy body completed, but that's all. Everyone's eyes widened, and their faces turned pale as they felt this breath. The proud dragon saint body has reached perfection, and the pressure it exudes is actually carrying the overwhelming power of a dragon. At this moment, they seem to be facing not a human being, but a humanoid beast. A ferocious humanoid beast with dragon blood flowing all over its body. The dragon horns on Prince Aolong's head were crystal clear, and the exposed scales on his upper body shone with cold light, shaking the earth. He clenched his fists, and a sonic boom occurred between heaven and earth. Some geniuses couldn't help but break out in cold sweats, their eyes filled with fear. What an amazing physical strength. At this moment, they looked at the white figure on the top of the mountain and couldn't help but worry about him. Can the person with double pupils really defeat Prince Aolong after he has achieved the perfection of the holy body? Now that my holy body has been perfected, no one in the world can stop me. My rise is inevitable, Prince Aolong said, his eyes looking arrogant, with a hint of invincibility. His heart was filled with excitement. After breaking through to the God King realm, he felt completely different. Just you, Nangong Chen snorted coldly, his pupils blazing with fire, and the aura he exuded was no less than that of Prince Aolong. Pupil replica, I must say you are truly my benefactor. In view of the fact that you have helped me to perfect my holy body, I will allow you to leave your body intact. It is an honor for you to be the first stepping stone for this prince after he achieves the perfection of his holy body. Prince Aolong spoke slowly, his tone very arrogant, as if he was giving alms. How ridiculous! I'm afraid that after achieving your holy body, your brain has awakened and become corrupted, and you've started to speak nonsense. You call me a person with double pupils, but you haven't even forced out my double pupils, and yet you dare to speak so arrogantly. Nangong Chen sneered, his aura soaring into the sky, with an aura that was unrivaled in the world. As soon as these words were spoken, not only Prince Aolong, but everyone present changed their expressions. Yes, people with double pupils have never used their double pupils. That's a talent beyond the 9th rank, no less than anyone else in the world. It's hard to imagine how terrifying those double pupils are. Then I can't keep you. Prince Aolong had a complicated expression on his face and said in a cold voice, this person's talent is too terrifying. No matter what, the person with double pupils must die here today. After he finished speaking, Prince Aolong took action. He clenched his fists, and the fist light was so bright that it rushed towards Nangong Chen like a dragon emerging from the sky. This punch was so terrifying that even the void became distorted, stirring up thousands of waves. The aura it exuded inevitably made everyone tremble. This is actually the top martial art of the Qianlong Immortal Dynasty, the Holy Dragon Fist. Someone sensed the astonishing dragon power and couldn't help but speak. When the others heard this, their eyes narrowed and they couldn't help but swallow. If this punch landed on them, I'm afraid not even a scrap would be left. Thinking of this, they couldn't help but look at Nangong Chen nervously, wondering how he would deal with this punch. The next moment, Nangong Chen's pupils were blazing, and a golden holy armor was attached to his body. The blood and energy that erupted from his body surged like a golden sea of suffering. Above the golden sea of suffering, the shadow of a divine elephant appeared. Its aura was extremely terrifying and shook the heavens and the earth, as if it was going to crush the heaven and earth to pieces. At this moment, Nangong Chen activated the divine elephant prison-suppressing power in his mind, and the holy armor on his body was transformed from his double pupils. In his body, tens of millions of divine elephant particles bloomed together, and billions of pounds of divine elephant power were released without reservation. Seeing the punch coming, Nangong Chen did not attack. He looked calm and just watched the blow fall on him. Upon seeing this, Prince Aolong couldn't help but sneer. Man with double pupils, you are too arrogant. You actually want to use this set of armor to block his attack. Boom! The holy dragon fist directly hit the armor on Nangong Chen's chest, causing an astonishing wave of energy. Everyone was extremely nervous when they saw this scene. Some women even closed their eyes, unable to bear to see the person with double pupils die here. The next moment, Prince Aolong's smile froze. He felt an extremely strong force bursting out. His face turned pale, and he flew backwards and hit a mountain. On the top of Chu Family Mountain, Nangong Chen stood firm. His holy armor disappeared, and his whole body was covered in brilliant glass, intact and not stained with a speck of dust. Is this the holy body mastery you're so proud of? This is really disappointing to me. Nangong Chen stood with his hands behind his back, shook his head, and said with disappointment. Unexpectedly, the defense of his double pupil holy armor was not broken. This is the so-called Holy Dragon Fist. Prince Aolong spat out a mouthful of blood. His hands were bent in an extremely twisted posture, and his eyes were full of fear. Is this guy really a human? Compared to him, Nangong Chen is more like a monster in human skin. At this moment, he was finally afraid. When everyone saw this scene, their pupils shrank slightly, they gasped, and their faces looked incredulous. They could not imagine that, in the end, even after Prince Aolong's holy body reached perfection, he was still no match for the one with double pupils. No, this is not about being defeated. It is simply a one-sided crushing. In today's battle, the one with double pupils didn't even get hurt at all. No wonder the person with double pupils could help Prince Aolong to achieve the holy body. It was entirely the confidence brought by his own strength. I just don't believe it. Prince Aolong gritted his teeth, and a white light burst out from his hands, emitting a vitality. After a few breaths, his hands were healed. This is the dragon blood lineage, which has always had an extremely terrifying self-healing power. This scene also shocked everyone. Hidden dragon transformation. Prince Aolong roared, his eyes bloodshot, and he clasped his hands together. The next moment, he turned into a white dragon, with a body 10,000 feet long, covering the sky and the sun. His aura was extremely terrifying, as if a real dragon had just been born. Give me your life. The white dragon transformed by Prince Aolong had dazzling dragon scales. It roared and bit towards Nangong Chen. His aura continued to rise, and even a peak god king would die if he received this blow. Nangong Chen was calm and composed, activating the Xing character secret. The next moment, he was almost tearing the void and instantly appeared behind Prince Aolong. This speed is simply too fast. It is totally beyond the reach of a powerful being, and everyone couldn't help but be shocked. Even Prince Aolong's huge dragon eyes were stunned for a moment. Where's the person? Loach, are you looking for me? Nangong Chen clenched his fists, and golden energy and blood burst out from his body, surging majestically. The void god elephant roared and punched down. Behind him, a shadowy figure of a god king in white appeared, standing tall and majestic. His majestic figure made everyone want to kneel down and worship, as if the Emperor of Heaven had been born. This punch landed directly on the dragon's neck, aiming for the life of Prince Aolong. Chapter 126. So what if he is the master from the upper realm? I will kill him anyway. Prince Aolong's body trembled instinctively, and a chill surged into his heart. Suddenly, he seemed to sense something, turned his head and saw the surging fist light illuminating his eyes. When did it come behind me? Prince Aolong was panicked, his heart full of doubts and confusion, and cold sweat kept flowing down his face. Boom! The next moment, the Emperor's fist fell, and the huge dragon body, like a missile, smashed into the ground quickly, directly creating a huge pit. The power unleashed by this punch affected the entire Chu city. The earth and sky shook, the roofs collapsed, and the ancient trees fell down. It was hard to imagine that this was a punch unleashed by Junior. Among the onlookers, there were many powerful god kings. After sensing such fluctuations, their faces changed and their eyes were filled with fear. The one with double pupils is now fully grown and powerful enough to even look down on the god king realm. He must not be provoked in the future. After a long time, the smoke faded away, and a figure covered in blood appeared in everyone's sight. Inside the huge pit, Prince Ao Long has regained his human form, but he is extremely weak, his eyes are dull, and he only has his last breath left. Nangong Chen slowly landed, his white robe fluttering, his pupils blazing. After the battle, he didn't even change at all. His expression was still calm, as if he hadn't even used his full strength. When he saw Nangong Chen coming, Prince Ao Long's eyes turned red and were full of resentment. He was jealous and unwilling to accept the fact. Why was Nangong Chen such a monster? Why did such a person appear in the Tianyuan realm? You were lucky enough to escape last time, but I wonder if you'll be so lucky this time. Nangong Chen's eyes were cold. He stepped on his head and spoke. Who knew that after hearing this? Prince Ao Long laughed loudly, his facial features distorted, and he said viciously, "You want to kill me? If you kill me today, your forces and your clansmen will surely be punished by the Qianlong immortal dynasty in the future. What awaits you will be endless pursuit. Also, did you know that the year I was born, I was accepted as a disciple by the Reverend Mad Dragon from the upper realm, and he will come to the lower realm to take me away in half a year. If he knew that I was killed by you, you would be doomed." Seeing that he still did his own thing, Prince Ao Long hardened his heart and told him his biggest secret. He was able to reach where he is today, thanks to the good fortune he had 20 years ago, when he received the true teachings of the Mad Dragon Master, and since then he has been pushing forward towards awakening. And the reason why he named himself Ao Long was obviously related to this. Is this your last words? Nangong Chen shook his head and said in a cold voice, not taking his words to heart at all. Hunting? Wouldn't it be enough to just kill you in advance? As for your master from the upper realm, the worst that can happen is that he can come to the lower realm and die with you. He'll just be a perfect match for you. He knew that when the 3,000 Dayas from the upper realm came to the Xiantian realm, they would be restricted by the local heavenly Tao, and their cultivation would be limited to a certain level. Half a year is a long time, and no one knows what will happen. If he will reach the ultimate realm of this world and be invincible at the same level, why should he be afraid of these so-called real people and people from the upper realm? He will kill them all. Of course, if there is still no way, he can just ask his mother in the upper realm to take action. His mother has been in the upper realm for so long now. It's not like she can't be dealt with by a crappy venerable. After thinking about this, Nangong Chen's eyes flashed, and then he kicked him, wanting to completely cut off his life. Upon seeing this, Prince Ao Long's face turned wild. A hint of madness flashed in his eyes, and he shouted, "The ignorant are fearless. Ha ha ha, I'll wait for you, the one with double pupils. In half a year, I'll wait for you to come down." He never expected that Nangong Chen would actually dare to kill him without showing any mercy. You have to know that every existence hailed as a venerable is a figure from the upper realm, capable of instantly killing a saint in a single breath. Is he really not afraid that the venerable will get angry and destroy this realm? Thinking of this, Prince Ao Long couldn't help but curse in his heart. This man is simply a madman, a naked madman. He felt a little regretful in his heart. He didn't know why he had provoked Nangong Chen. He just wanted to collect all the sword embryos. However, regret is useless. With Nangong Chen's kick, Prince Ao Long completely lost his life, and his soul would be destroyed. At this moment, the whole place was silent. Everyone looked at the young man's figure, and some people were frightened. They didn't expect Nangong Chen to be so decisive and ruthless. You have to know that Prince Ao Long blew himself up. He had a venerable master in the upper realm. If ordinary people heard about it, they would probably stop. After all, the strong people in the upper realm are all capable of destroying the world. The man with double pupils didn't hesitate at all and killed the man with one kick, which created a great enemy for himself in the future. At this moment, even those who had previously been optimistic about people with double pupils shook their heads, with a look of regret in their eyes. Half a year later, I'm afraid that Xiantian realm will lose a monster who is famous in Xiantian realm. Some people were sneering, feeling relieved in their hearts. What a fool you are. You killed Prince Ao Long. When his venerable master comes down, you'll see how you're going to survive. They thought that Nangong Chen was used to being arrogant, and he deserved the retribution he suffered now. But no matter what, the reputation of the person with double pupils will once again make its way through the Xiantian realm. At this moment, the impression that the person with double pupils was decisive and ruthless in killing and had extraordinary talent had been deeply engraved in their minds. On the street, the young boys and girls were all filled with passion, looking at Nangong Chen with fiery eyes and admiration written all over their faces. They don't care what happens half a year later. They only know that life is like this, to enjoy love and hate, and have no regrets in their hearts. No matter who is behind you. If you provoke me, I will kill you anyway. Similarly, this is also the inner voice of some civilian geniuses. In the crowd, Qingyu saw this scene, and her beautiful eyes became moist without her knowing when. Pearl-like tears flowed down drop by drop, crystal clear. She sobbed softly, looking pitiful. Mom, did you see it? Prince Ao Long is dead. Your revenge is finally avenged. Woo! Qingyu's throat was a little hoarse, obviously caused by being too excited just now. But she remembered that the young master once said that he would definitely defeat Prince Ao Long. And now, he has not broken his promise and has actually done it. Prince Ao Long, that evil beast, died at the hands of the young master today. To her, the young master is the great hero in her mind, the one and only hero. After a long time, Qingyu stood up and tried to stand on tiptoe, wanting to see Nangong Chen again, but found that the figure he had been thinking about on the top of the mountain had already left. Soon, Qingyu felt his face getting wet. His dim eyes came back to his senses, and he looked up, only to see the foggy sky. It had been raining heavily without him noticing. At this time, there was no one left on the banks of the Chuqing River, and only Qingyu was left there all alone. Seeing this, Qingyu couldn't help but recall every little detail of her time with Nangong Chen. Tears welled up in her eyes, and she stood there in a daze. My name is Qingyu, sir. Qing means green, and Yu means depressed. Qingyu? That's a good name. I heard that the man with double pupils was going to fight Prince Ao Long, so I came to Chu City. I want to see Prince Ao Long lose with my own eyes. Yes, the one with double pupils will win. Those with double pupils have never been defeated since ancient times. Who says that if you keep thinking about something, there will be a response? Qingyu suddenly remembered that he had seen this sentence in a collection of novels. Looking back on it now, it seemed a little ridiculous. We are not from the same world, after all. Qingyu muttered to herself, her beautiful eyes dull, letting the rain fall on her. If you're sick, I don't want to find another person to lead the way for me. At this moment, a cold voice sounded. Qingyu's delicate body trembled, and she suddenly looked back. Chapter 127, You Can't Guess What a Girl is Thinking. Aren't you leaving? Seeing this familiar yet unfamiliar figure, Qingyu sobbed and lowered her head to wipe away her tears, her tone full of surprise. She didn't expect that the young master would come back. In front of her, she saw Nangong Chen standing there at some point. He had an extraordinary aura and was surrounded by divine light. It was clearly raining, but not a single drop fell on him, as if he was isolated and looked very ethereal. After hearing what Qingyu said, he looked somewhat helpless and said, The immortal treasure will be opened in 2 days. Where do you want me to go? I'm afraid I'll have to find a place to stay for the next 2 days. Really? When Qingyu heard that Nangong Chen was going to stay for 2 days, she suddenly looked up, her beautiful eyes shining, and asked, Of course it's true. Nangong Chen smiled. How could he possibly hide such a thing? However, after seeing Qingyu's red eyes from crying, Nangong Chen was stunned for a moment and felt a little confused. Could it be that Qingyu was bullied during the time he was away? But it doesn't make sense. If Qingyu announced his name, the other party would probably retreat unless he was a fool. What's wrong with you? Nangong Chen was a little confused and asked casually. If the other party doesn't say anything, then forget it. There's no need to force help. After all, he's not a saint. Seeing Nangong Chen looking at her face, Qingyu exclaimed and reacted. Her pretty face immediately flushed. I just saw it was raining, and I forgot to bring an umbrella, so I started crying. That's right, that's it. Qingyu spoke hesitantly, his eyes flickering, not daring to look at Nangong Chen. Nangong Chen had a look of suspicion on his face, and it was obvious that he didn't believe it. After all, who would believe such a clumsy lie? In this world, is there still a chance for crying because you didn't bring an umbrella? Forget it. Feeling that Qingyu had no scars on her body, Nangong Chen stopped thinking about it and continued as she said, I see. Then remember to bring an umbrella next time. Qingyu's face was a little flustered. She regretted it right after she finished speaking. After all, she was at the Purple Mansion realm. Could it be that she couldn't even use a qi condensation shield? After Qingyu thought about it, he wanted to explain it again, but he didn't expect to hear Nangong Chen's words. For a moment, she was stunned. She couldn't believe that the young master actually believed such a clumsy lie, but thinking about it, it should be impossible. The young master must be afraid of losing face. Good. Qingyu responded with a smile on his face, and his favorable impression of Nangong Chen increased a lot. The young master is such a considerate and kind person. By the way, sir, have you decided where to live? At this moment, Qingyu suddenly thought of what Nangong Chen had just said and asked, looking at Nangong Chen's face. Nangong Chen shook his head. He really had no idea where to settle down. After seeing this, Qingyu was delighted and then said shyly, If you don't mind, you can stay in our mansion. There are many empty guest rooms in the courtyard. Seeing this, Nangong Chen decided to refuse. After all, Qingyu had come out to entertain guests, and one could imagine how difficult life was for the brother and sister. It was better not to disturb them. Moreover, you can also go to the restaurant, where there are many choices. As if guessing Nangong Chen's thoughts, Qingyu hurriedly said, Sir, our courtyard is really huge, thousands of miles long, not inferior to some aristocratic families. When my father bought it, he also wanted to move the whole family to Chu City, but he didn't expect that incident to happen that year. Now, it's just the two of us living there. When Qingyu finished speaking, her beautiful eyes drooped and her expression became a little depressed, as if she was thinking of something bad. Nangong Chen sighed softly upon seeing this, not knowing how to comfort her. Sir, if you can come, you can also add some vitality to our courtyard and bring some good fortune. After all, you are a famous genius in Xiantian territory. Of course, if you don't want to come, I understand. Qingyu didn't want to convey his negative emotions to Nangong Chen, so he forced a smile. There was a burning look in her eyes, and she hoped very much that Nangong Chen could come to their yard. Of course, it wasn't just for her own reasons. She also had some selfish motives involved. Her younger brother, Qing Fan, was originally the most famous prodigy of the Chu family. He had 8th grade talent and had reached the peak of the Spirit Sea at the age of 16, only one step away from the Purple Mansion realm. Because of her brother had his cultivation crippled by Prince Ao Long in order to save her, and even his legs were broken. There has been no improvement so far. She almost used up all the remaining money in the family and invited famous doctors from Chu City, but all of them shook their heads and had no solution. Some even said that there was no hope of curing their brother's legs in this lifetime. At that time, she was like being struck by a bolt from the blue, and she could not believe the result. Chu Fan, because of this, became depressed and even had suicidal thoughts several times. She also blamed herself for having this face, which caused her family to be broken up, and now, a glimmer of hope appeared in her heart. That was the young master. The young master was born with double pupils, unparalleled in the world. She looked through the information, and it was said that double pupils could see through all the vanity in the world. So, even if she just tried, she wanted Nangong Chen to take a look at her brother's legs to see if there was really no way to fix it. When Nangong Chen saw the pleading eyes, his eyes flashed, and he did not refuse anymore. He nodded and agreed to Qingyu. Since this girl invited me like this, it would be unkind of me to refuse her again. Great, I'll take you to our house right now. Qingyu finally smiled, feeling very excited. Today, not only did he see his enemy die with his own eyes, he even brought the young master back home. Thinking of this, her face flushed a little. I just wanted to bring the young master back to rest for 2 days and check on Chu Fan's injuries. I had no other thoughts. You know, in Chu City, only when 2 Taoist lovers are in love will a woman invite her Taoist partner to her residence. If I do this, will you think I am so careless? Qingyu couldn't help but slow down a little, with a complicated expression, but when he saw Nangong Chen's handsome face, his heart beat faster again. Nangong Chen just felt a little confused in his heart. Why did Qingyu walk fast and jump around one moment, and then slow down like a snail the next moment? Of course, if he knew Qingyu's thoughts, he would definitely give her a thumbs up and think to himself, girls' minds are really hard to guess. In the rain, the two walked together. Chapter 128. Everyone was shocked when they heard about it. Not long after, the news that the person with double pupils killed the Prince Ao Long, who had achieved the perfection of the holy body, on the top of the Chu family mountain spread throughout the entire Xiantian domain. As soon as this incident happened, it caused an uproar in Xiantian realm, and countless people were shocked. A young man from East Shenzhou is so powerful and talented. If they're not mistaken, the man with double pupils seems to be only 18 years old this year. This couldn't help but make some immortal sects and top-level religions feel frightened. But not long after, another piece of news came out, that is, Prince Ao Long had a master in the upper realm who would come down to the lower realm in half a year. If he saw Prince Ao Long being destroyed at that time, he would definitely kill the one with double pupils. After hearing the news, everyone had mixed expressions. Some were happy, and some were worried. Many people felt sorry for this, because Xiantian realm was about to lose such an enchanting genius. As for the rest of the people, they sneered and wished that the person with double pupils would die immediately. Of course, most of these people were forces that had grudges against Nangong Chen. The talent of those with double pupils is too terrifying. If they're allowed to grow, the entire structure of Xiantian domain will probably be changed. This is a scene that some people do not want to see. They also hope that the day half a year later will come soon, so that they can witness with their own eyes the killing of the person with double pupils. Chu family, in the courtyard. You heard everything that Prince Ao Long said today, didn't you? Chu Shanha looked at his daughter and spoke with a serious expression. I heard, Chu Yin responded, her beautiful eyes a little puzzled as to why her father called her over. After a meeting among the elders and the decision of our ancestor, it has been decided that you will never be allowed to approach those with double pupils again. Chu Shana hesitated for a moment and said in a deep voice. Chu Yan's beautiful eyes widened in disbelief as she asked, why? Besides, I wasn't that close to the person with the double pupils. We just met by chance. At this moment, she only thought of one possibility in her mind. That is, the old woman was taking advantage of today's events to make a fuss. Thinking of this, Chu Yan couldn't help but feel angry. Is this what Chu Ruchuan said? After hearing this, Chu Shana's expression changed slightly, but Chu Yan still saw it. I knew it. It's that old woman again. Chu Yan's beautiful eyes were frosty, and her silver teeth were clenched tightly. Boom! Suddenly, Chu Shana slammed the table and shouted, Enough! That's your third uncle and aunt. How can you call her by her real name in front of me? How disrespectful! Do you know how your third uncle died for us? I turn a blind eye to your private fight with her, but if it comes to light, then you're in the wrong. Don't you know how much your third uncle loved you back then? Are you being worthy of your deceased third uncle by acting like this? Chu Shana's eyes were red, and he was very angry. Chu Yan was stunned. She had never thought that her father would say this about her, just because of an outsider. This was the first time she saw her father being so mean to her. Chu Shanha seemed to realize that he had spoken too seriously, but there was no way out. He had to make this point clear today. He gritted his teeth and continued in a deep voice. I've spoiled you and your brother too much, leading you to become what you are now. You have no respect for your elders, and you've become arrogant just because you have a little talent. Okay, I'll tell you now why I told you to stay away from that person with double pupils. The one with double pupils has offended the venerable from the upper realm. This is the reason. The venerable's power is far beyond our imagination. If you don't want to be buried with the entire Chu family and don't want us to die, don't have anything to do with the one with double pupils in the future. Chu Yan was silent, not knowing how to refute, as if everything was so powerless. It seems that I really shouldn't get close to someone with double pupils, but the other person saved my life in the Nine Heaven Secret Realm. Originally, the clan elders wanted to take back the spot you gave to the double pupil immortal treasure, but considering that he saved your lives in the Nine Heaven Secret Realm, they decided not to take it back. Just treat this as an accident. You are not allowed to have any contact with him in the future. Chu Shan has said coldly. I see. After a long time, Chu Yan finally spoke. Her beautiful eyes were dull and her face was gloomy, as if she had lost her soul. Just figured out. Your brother Chu Xing, who keeps calling his brother-in-law the one with double pupils, has been reported by others and is now imprisoned. When he figures it out, we'll release him. Chu Shanha said lightly, with a hint of disappointment in his eyes. After hearing this, Chu Yan's pupil shrank slightly, and she was a little bit disbelieving. You have imprisoned Chu Xing. It's just a slight punishment. If he wakes up soon, he can be released. The elders originally wanted to put you in solitary confinement, but if it weren't for my Dao Heart oath, they would have agreed not to lock you up. Chu Shanha continued. Chu Yan was stunned, and her face turned pale. His father actually made a heavenly oath for her. Chu Ruchuan, you have such a cruel heart. Chu Yan whispered in her heart, a little dazed. This step completely shattered her last bit of hope. She knew that Chu Ruchuan must be behind all this. Seeing her like this, Chu Shanha shook his head and turned away. Howard Pavilion. How foolish. Oh, after learning that Nangong Chen had killed Prince Ao Long, Elder Xiong muttered to himself, his tone filled with regret. Aren't you going to persuade the person with double pupils? Elder Xiong also looked at Yu Russian and others and asked with a frown. Yu Russian hesitated for a moment before speaking. Elder Xiong, the one with the double pupils, was already charging forward, and no one could stop him. If we had stepped forward to stop him, I'm afraid, given his personality, he would have turned against us. Xiongda and others also nodded. It was not that they didn't want to, but they didn't dare. In that scene, even a saint would get punched. Elder Xiong fell silent. He could imagine the scene at that time. The dust had indeed settled. Elder, are you telling us to stay away from people with double pupils? Yu Russian seemed to see through his thoughts and spoke. Elder Xiong glared at him and said angrily, What nonsense are you talking about? For those of us who practice physical cultivation, the most important thing is brotherhood. Since the one with double pupils saved the lives of many of our disciples in the Nine Heaven Secret Realm that day, we naturally cannot be so cold-blooded and ruthless. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief after hearing this. They thought the elder was going to advise them to stay away from people with double pupils. Of course, since he provoked a venerable being from the upper realm, we also have to consider how to conceal our relationship. Fortunately, not many people saw us when we went to East Shinjo that day. So, if those with double pupils encounter any difficulties in the future, we will help them, but we will do so in secret. As for that venerable one, I will ask the pavilion master how to resolve the issue. After all, our Howard Pavilion also inherited the teachings from the upper realm, so our foundation should not be underestimated. Elder Xiong pondered for a while and said in a deep voice, Yeah, long live Dad. Xiongda was extremely excited and very happy. In his heart, he was already a fan of Nangong Chen, so naturally he didn't want him to die. The others also nodded with shining eyes. Chapter 129, That One, Qing Family. Jiang Family. I never thought that someone with double pupils would actually dare to kill Prince Ao Long. Lying on the mattress, Jiang Che's injuries had recovered. After hearing the news, he whispered to himself. At this moment, a trace of fear emerged in his heart. This man with double pupils is really a ruthless person. He is fearless and even dares to kill Prince Ao Long directly after he destroyed his family. If he had run a little slower that day, he would have probably followed in the footsteps of Prince Ao Long. Humph! Well done. What a fool. I wonder what he'll do in half a year. At this time, a voice was heard outside the door, and several elders of the Jiang family arrived one after another. The speaker was the yellow-robed elder who was in the lead. After they sensed that Jiang Che had woken up, they rushed over quickly. Seeing that Jiang Che had almost recovered, they breathed a sigh of relief. After all, the immortal hidden ceremony would be held in 2 days, and there was no room for any mistakes. Greetings, elders. Jiang Che also spoke respectfully after seeing the visitor. Several people responded very calmly, and it was obvious that they were very dissatisfied with him for provoking the person with double pupils before. When Jiang Che saw this, he couldn't help but smile bitterly. On that day, who knew that the man in the flowing white clothes was the one with double pupils? If he knew, even if he had 100 times the courage, he probably wouldn't dare to provoke her. The patriarch brought us a message today, telling you to never provoke anyone with double pupils after you enter the immortal treasures. Do you understand? The yellow-robed elder spoke, stroking his beard. Jiang Che nodded. He had no objection. Unless he was dissatisfied with his life, he would not provoke someone with double pupils. Seeing this, the yellow-robed elder nodded, and then slowly explained. This boy has incredible talent. In his battle with Prince Ao Long, he didn't even use his double pupils, yet he crushed him. His combat power is extraordinary. The moon goddess also witnessed that battle. She commented that if the one with double pupils used his trump card, even she wouldn't be able to withstand it, and he would be right up there with the current top of the list. That one, is this really what Jiang Yueshin said? Jiang Che looked shocked and asked. I said to myself, how could it be false? If you want revenge, go find the one with double pupils in the immortal treasures. I will not save you. At this moment, a cold female voice sounded. It was Jiang Yinghua. She was dressed in a palace moon gown with delicate and beautiful facial features. She stood in the courtyard with a cold and aloof temperament, like a fairy who had descended to earth and was not affected by the mundane world. Jiang Che looked over and vaguely saw a beautiful figure through the door curtain. After hearing the confirmation, he fell silent. His heart was agitated, and it was like a bolt from the blue in his mind, which made him unable to accept it for a while. You know, the moon goddess is extremely arrogant. Even she said she couldn't match him, and even said she was on par with that person. It's hard to imagine how talented a person with double pupils is. It can no longer be described as a demon. Like that person, he should be called a monster. Now it seems that choosing to use the boundary-breaking talisman that day was the wisest choice. Jiang Che's expression of fear flashed across his face again, as if he had been saved. After a moment of hesitation, he spoke. Will that person also come to this immortal hiding? After hearing this, the Jiang family elders and others did not answer directly. After thinking for a while, they said, according to rumors, it seems that he will come, and the Chu family has already sent the quota. Jiang Che's eyes lit up when he heard this. This was quite interesting. If that person met someone with double pupils, who knows what would happen? On the other side, Jiang Yinghua had the same idea, her eyes flashing. They all wanted to see whether the one with double pupils could rival that person. Sir, we're here. This is our yard, Qing Yu said, stopping in front of a mansion. Nangong Chen looked calm, nodded, and looked towards the courtyard in front of him. The building is magnificent and majestic, with the words Qingfu engraved on the plaque. The brushstrokes are sharp and vigorous, and it can be seen that the person who engraved the words must be a great calligrapher. But unfortunately, because no one has lived here for many years, the yard lacks some vitality, with weeds growing everywhere and fallen leaves flying around. Except for the main courtyard, which looked well-maintained, the rest of the place was deserted. Of course, Nangong Chen did not look down on Qing Yu for this, but was very understanding. Seeing Nangong Chen looking at the plaque, Qing Yu also said, this is the calligraphy engraved by my father. Isn't it beautiful? He loved calligraphy the most in his life. My mother often said that he was not doing his job properly. What a pity. When she spoke of the latter part, Qing Yu's beautiful eyes dimmed a little. The handwriting is very good. Your father is a very remarkable man. Come on, take me inside to visit your yard. Nangong Chen saw that she was about to recall bad things again, and hurriedly said. Hearing Nangong Chen's praise, Qingyu's beautiful eyes lit up, and she was very happy in her heart. She liked Nangong Chen even more. Okay, sir, I'll take you in right away. Qingyu spoke, then put his hand on the door, and as a ripple of magic power spread, the door slowly opened. Nangong Chen did not react much when he saw this. In this day and age, it was common to place formations in mansions. In the courtyard, there was a handsome young man sitting in a wooden wheelchair. After sensing the fluctuations of the formation, his heart tightened, and he quickly turned the armrests of the wheelchair. After seeing that it was Qingyu, Qing Fan couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. He thought that it was Wang Pai Zi's gang coming again. Sister, Qing Fan called out. Qing Fan, why did you run out alone? Go back quickly. What if you fall? When Qingyu saw this, his pupil shrank, and he hurried forward to hold the wheelchair, his eyes full of worry. Just at this moment, Qing Fan saw Nangong Chen behind him, and his expression changed, looking alert. Who are you? Why did you come to our house? Qing Fan asked in a cold voice. After all, Nangong Chen's temperament was too transcendent, and he was obviously not an ordinary person. He was smart and realized that this person might have come with other purposes. After hearing this, Qingyu quickly explained, Brother, the young master is not a bad person. Today he helped us kill Prince A.O. Long and avenged us. When he said this, Qingyu's face became a little excited. Qing Fan's face froze, with some confusion in his eyes. Seeing this, Qingyu also told the story. During this period, when Qing Fan heard that Nangong Chen asked Qingyu to lead the way and actually gave him a top-grade spirit crystal, his eyelids trembled and it felt a little unreal. Such a generous gift. Is his sister really that lucky? Chapter 130. Qing Fan is shocked. Wang Batian arrives. Then they talked about the Chu family mountaintop, where Nangong Chen killed Prince A.O. Long without any effort. Qing Fan's eyes widened, and a line of tears actually flowed from his eyes. Father and mother, I am incompetent and cannot personally avenge you. Today, Prince A.O. Long was killed by the one with double pupils. This is a great relief to everyone. He deserved it. Qing Fan's eyes were red, and he muttered to himself. When Qingyu saw this, her beautiful eyes turned red and she sobbed. You know, if the young master hadn't taken action today, they would have no hope of revenge in this lifetime, given Prince A.O. Long's status. After a long time, the two came to their senses. Qing Fan looked at Nangong Chen, bowed deeply, and said sincerely, Thank you very much, sir, for taking action and avenging us. At this moment, his hostility towards Nangong Chen was much less, but he was still a little confused in his heart. Why would the person with double pupils meet his elder sister by such a coincidence? Could it be an imposter? After all, it's not like someone has cheated me before. There's no need for this. The killing of Prince A.O. Long today was also the result of a conflict between him and me. Nangong Chen smiled faintly, his eyes deep. He naturally saw the suspicion in the boy's eyes. It seems that I have to show off my skills. Do you suspect that I'm not a true person with double pupils? Nangong Chen was not angry about this, but spoke calmly. It's normal for children to be suspicious by nature. Besides, he has also hidden his most obvious feature, his double pupils. Qing Fan remained silent, his attitude telling it all. How could you doubt that the young master doesn't have double pupils? You really disappoint me. Now you don't even trust your own sister? When Qingyu saw this scene, there was some anger in his eyes, and he gritted his teeth and spoke. She didn't expect that her younger brother would treat his benefactor like this. Then, she looked at Nangong Chen again and forced a sincere smile. Sir, my little sister is young and naive. If you mind, just blame it on me. Qingyu lowered his head and spoke in an extremely humble tone, almost kneeling down. When Qing Fan saw this, his heart trembled and a sense of self-blame surged in his heart. Did he go too far? But he was also worried that his sister would be cheated. It's nothing, it's just a small matter. Am I some terrible devil? Nangong Chen didn't care and waved his hand, still keeping his expression calm and his temperament gentle. After hearing this, Qingyu finally felt relieved. Boy, please take a good look at me to see if I am the one with double pupils. Nangong Chen raised the corner of his mouth to smile and said with a faint smile. The two of them were startled and raised their heads. As soon as he finished speaking, Nangong Chen's eyes burst out with a terrifying aura, and a faint light shot straight into the sky, instantly splitting the dark clouds in the sky into the yin and yang worlds. At this moment, the sky cleared and the rain stopped. It was as if everything in the world had stopped. The two of them looked into those eyes. Their hearts were agitated, their faces were pale, and their bodies were shaking. Just a glance at them made them feel as if their souls were about to be swallowed up by them. Qingyu's beautiful eyes were filled with shock. She had not expected that even in the battle with Prince Aolong, the young master had not revealed his double pupils. But today, because of Adi's words, they were displayed in front of the two of them. Even the young master did not reveal his double pupils because he took into consideration their weak strength. Thinking of this, Qing Yu was deeply moved. He lamented how there could be such a person in the world. It was no doubt that he was an immortal who had been banished to the mortal world. When Qing Fan saw this overwhelming divine light, he secretly swallowed his saliva, and his mind was full of the scene just now. The scene is so shocking. Is this the legendary double pupils? At this moment, he felt the gap in talent. If he had such talent, his father and mother would probably not have died. Thinking of this, Qing Fan clenched his fists and looked powerless. Soon, the gaze was withdrawn, and Nangong Chen's eyes returned to normal, and his gaze fell on Qing Fan. Boy, how's it going? Qing Fan, apologize to the young master, or I will punish you according to the family rules. Qing Yu said this coldly, looking like an elder sister who was like a mother, very majestic. Qing Fan came back to his senses and apologized sincerely. Sir, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have doubted you, it's my fault. He lowered his head, hoping to gain Nangong Chen's forgiveness. Nangong Chen smiled and didn't care. Everyone who protects his family deserves respect. He also knew that this guy was just being cautious. After all, judging by his sister's appearance, she must have been deceived many times. It's nothing, just a small matter. Nangong Chen said softly, his expression calm. After seeing this, Qing Yu was relieved. Fortunately, the young master forgave them. Otherwise, she would not forgive Qing Fan. Seeing Qing Fan frozen in place, she said, "Why don't you thank me, sir? If it weren't for your generosity, any other genius would have been killed long ago." What she said was realistic, but also true. You know, even the most talented people are arrogant, let alone a monster like the young master. Thank you, sir. I will never doubt you again. Qing Fan was frightened by Qing Yu and turned pale, and he spoke quickly. Nangong Chen waved his hands, feeling somewhat helpless. Didn't he already say that he didn't mind? It seems that some rules in this world are deeply rooted. At this moment, an arrogant voice sounded outside the door. "Two siblings of the Qing family. You haven't paid the protection fee today. Hurry up and give it to me, or you could forget about your house." With a bang, the door shook a little. Obviously, someone was kicking it. After Qing Yu heard this, her expression changed. Her beautiful eyes became extremely cold, and even a hint of anger appeared in them. "Didn't I pay today? Why are you asking me to pay now? This is really too much. It's that guy surnamed Wang again." Qing Fan clenched his fists, a murderous intent surging in his eyes. If his cultivation had not been wasted, there would be no chance for such a wild dog to bark outside the house. Nangong Chen's eyes moved, and after learning more about it, he finally understood the whole story. It turned out that the man outside the house was called Wang Batian, the second son of the local powerful Wang family. His background was very influential in this small city of Chu, and this Wang Batian, who was ignorant and had very poor talent, relied on his family and the name of his brother to do evil all day long, and bullying men and women was common. Over time, he became a local bully, collecting so-called protection fees from some ordinary monks every day. These cultivators were hindered by the Wang family behind Wang Batian and his brother Wang Tung, who was a well-known genius on the heavenly ranking. Therefore, they did not dare to resist at all and could only pay protection fees. There was once someone who resisted Wang Batian, but was beaten and disabled by his men. Some people even floated on the river the next day. All this was due to the fact that his father gave him a very strong guard to protect his safety. Of course, the reason why he needed money was very simple. The pocket money given by the Wang family was always quickly used up by him on eating, drinking, whoring, and gambling, and was not enough for him to spend. Wang Batian's purpose in targeting the Qing siblings was simple. It was for this courtyard. He had been coveting it for a long time, so after Qing Yu and the others moved in, he often came to act rudely. After listening to this, Nangong Chen's eyes turned cold, and he said, "Go, open the door. I want to see how he behaves." I didn't expect that there would be such a scum in Chu City. Back then, in the Great Zhou Dynasty, he did not rely on his background to influence others, and he just often went to the brothel to boost sales. Yes. After hearing this, Qing Yu quickly responded. Chapter 131, It seems like I kicked the steel plate. At this moment outside the gate, Wang Batian was fat, with big ears and a big belly. He was looking ahead with an impatient look on his face. Fuck it. Why haven't these two siblings come out yet? They're really tired of living. After hearing this, an attendant beside him also looked angry and echoed, "How dare you be so rude to our young master? You really underestimate our Wang family. When these two siblings come out, we will definitely teach them a lesson." This man has shifty eyes and is short in stature. He has been Wang Batian's longtime confidant. That's right, Nyo, you're right. When they come out, they'll be in big trouble. Wang Batian agreed, his eyes gleaming with a sly light. You know, he had been eyeing this unwanted yard for a long time, but he didn't expect that these two siblings would get the upper hand. Thinking of this, Wang Batian couldn't help but clench his fists and snorted coldly. The key point is that these two siblings are extremely difficult to deal with. At first, I thought they were big shots from somewhere, but after asking around, I found out that they were actually two orphans. After knowing that the two were orphans, he went up to them frantically to ask for protection money every day, from 10 spirit stones at the beginning to 100 spirit stones now. The purpose of his doing this was to make things difficult for the two siblings and to force them to give up. But I didn't expect that Qin Yu was always generous with his money. Where did an orphan get so much money? It was obvious that he had done some shady things. Wang Batian smiled obscenely, with an evil thought flashing in his eyes. Since it's a good deal for others, why not give it to me? He has been coveting Qin Yu's beauty for a long time. Boom! Hearing the sound of the door opening, Wang Batian put away his previous obscene smile, snorted coldly, and wanted to show his majestic side. It took me so long to open the door. I must teach them a lesson, otherwise I will be unworthy of the name of a bully. Why did you take so long to open the door? This young master is very dissatisfied, and the consequences will be serious, Wang Batian said coldly, his eyes looking at Qin Yu with an obscene look. Qin Yu's beautiful eyes were frosty, and she looked disgusted as she said, "Haven't I already paid you the protection fee today? Why are you still coming to our house?" She had no good feelings towards Wang Batian at all, only murderous intentions. This person relied on his status to harass them again and again. If they didn't pay him protection money, he would block their door like a fly. It was so annoying. If it were Wang Batian, how could the Qin family's remaining money be spent so quickly, so that now she has to go out to lead the way for those outsiders who come to Chu City? She also had to deal with her brother's leg injury, find someone to treat him, and face this person's unreasonable protection fees. She really hates this pig's head. After hearing this, Wang Batian was stunned and didn't know how to answer for a moment. His cerebellum was working rapidly. He came here today simply because he had lost all his money again, so he wanted to find a sucker to take advantage of. After thinking about it, he decided to pick on these two weaklings. At this moment, the lackey Anyo beside him spoke up. "How dare you? The young master is the second young master of the Wang family. In the entire Chu City, he cannot go to anyone's house and cannot leave anyone's house. No matter who you are, as long as you are in Chu City and see the second young master, you must bow your head and behave yourself." After Wang Batian heard this, his eyes lit up and he quickly agreed. That's right, that's right. He looked at Aniu with praise, saying, "He really is worthy of being my military advisor. He has a really smart brain. He shouldn't have been allowed to sleep in a doghouse when he was a child. Otherwise, it could be even smarter." "Ill." Qin Yu cursed coldly, feeling a little confused. At this moment, a cold voice sounded in the yard. "Whose second young master is so majestic? Let me look down at you." This voice seemed to have magical power, echoing in the minds of the two people, making them shudder. Wang Batian trembled a little, his face showing shock. He was actually frightened by the sound. After Wang Batian reacted, he realized his previous loss of composure, clenched his fists, and a hint of anger appeared in his eyes. His already small eyes narrowed slightly as he said, "Oh, you even asked for help. I want to see who dares to be so arrogant in front of me." He realized that this person must be a master, but he was not afraid, because no matter how master he was, could he be stronger than the old man who protected him? He was a powerful man in the realm of God King. He didn't believe that anyone would dare to disrespect his Wang family in Chu City. Wang Batian took big steps and stepped confidently into the yard. "That's right. In Chu City, even if you're a dragon, you have to coil up for us, and even if you're a tiger, you have to lie down for us." Anyo also said angrily that he had been doing evil in Chucheng for so long and had never been scared like this, even though he had been following the second young master. After the two came in, they saw that otherworldly and indifferent figure who was currently sitting on the armchair, looking at them with cold eyes. "So, Batu wants to be a hero and save the damsel in distress." Wang Batian was furious and sneered. He thought it was a master, but he didn't expect it to be just a young boy. He was not afraid at all. There are always some young people with a little talent who like to stand out, and what he likes to do most is to rely on his protectors to brutally kill these geniuses and make them despair. Anyo did not say anything. When he saw this figure, he felt more and more familiar, and his legs kept shaking. Nangong Chen said nothing, lowered his head and drank a sip of tea, calm and natural, and said lightly, "Aren't you going to show up yet?" This sentence is meaningful, as if it is said to someone else. Boom. The next moment, Wang Batian and Aniu suddenly knelt on the ground, and their heads were pressed deeply into the ground by a black shadow, making a loud noise. All this happened so suddenly that in just a moment, when Qin Yu and the others saw it, their pupils shrank slightly and their eyes were filled with fear. The aura emitted by this black shadow was very terrifying, and it was obvious that he was a powerful being. Who is this person? Is this the one the young master just talked about? Wang Batian was pressed to the ground by this huge force, with some anger in his eyes. Who on earth dared to treat him like this? You know, even his father wouldn't dare to do this. When he caught a glimpse of the black shadow out of the corner of his eye, he was also shocked. This person was none other than his closest friend, Master Wang San, who was also his protector. Third Master Wang Batian looked a little puzzled. On the other side, Aniu was already trembling with fear. He was smart, and considering the situation, he had already guessed who the person in front of him was. Thinking of this, his body trembled and his eyes were filled with fear. Second young master, this time, it seems like you have hit a wall. Chapter 132, The Wang Family Arrives. I, Wang Wuxin, have met someone with double pupils. Wang Wuxin knelt on the ground and spoke respectfully, holding the two heads in his hands. When these words were spoken, the two people whose heads were being held down froze in shock. Wang Batian's body trembled, and his brain didn't react for a moment. Who is this person? People with double pupils. It turned out to be the man with double pupils who killed Prince Ao Long today, a monster among the top 10 on the heavenly ranking. Did I actually provoke him? Thinking of this, Wang Batian's confusion disappeared. His face turned pale, and a cold feeling surged into his heart and spread to his limbs. Anyo, who was standing by, was not in much better condition. After he heard that the person really had double pupils, his hands and feet couldn't stop shaking. He is very smart. If the Wang family asks him for punishment today, he will definitely die because of his humble status. After hearing what Wang Wuxin said, Qing Yu and the others were also a little shocked. This person turned out to be Wang Batian's protector, and now he was forcing Wang Batian to kneel. They simply couldn't believe that such a ridiculous scene would happen right before their eyes. Of course, they knew that all this was caused by the man in front of them. Thinking of this, Qing Yu and the others looked at Nangong Chen deeply. Good, you're sensible. Nangong Chen chuckled, and the aura he exuded was very strong, with a terrifying artistic conception. After Wang Wuxin felt it, he was shocked and exerted even greater force in his hands. He didn't expect that when he really faced the person with double pupils, it would not feel like he was facing a junior, but more like a senior. The oppressive feeling this brings is really too terrifying. Wang Batian and Aniu were almost breathless due to the pressure of this force, and their facial features were buried deep in the soil. I didn't expect the second young master of the Wang family to be so powerful that he could even suppress me. Nangong Chen smiled. Although it was just a casual remark, it was full of dissatisfaction. Hearing these words, Wang Wuxin's expression changed, and his eyes became even colder as he looked at the two of them. Wang Batian trembled and dared not speak. There was a hint of disdain in his eyes. At this time, he just had to shut up, and the other party would not be able to do anything to him. What's more, the man with double pupils is alone, while his Wang family has been rooted in this land for generations. It's all our Wang family's fault for not disciplining him properly. This rebellious son has caused the young master to be unhappy. Batian, speak up. Wang Wuxin smirked, then picked up Wang Batian like a chick and said in a cold voice. At this moment, he no longer had the usual doting on Wang Batian, but only endless indifference. He is just a protector sent by the family, and all we need to do is save his life. Wang Batian suddenly felt this sense of weightlessness and was frightened and screamed. After hearing Wang Wuxin's voice, he reacted. When the Qing siblings saw this, their eyes were very cold. They wished Wang Batian would die sooner. I shouldn't have come to you today to collect protection money. I won't collect protection money from you again. I'll return all the money to you. Don't kill me. Wang Batian shouted, a hint of resentment flashing in his eyes. If the person with double pupils is no longer around in the future, I will definitely take revenge on you. What a waste. After hearing this, Wang Wuxin's eyes were filled with disappointment. This statement was just an excuse to shirk responsibility, without even an apology. It seems that Wang Batian has been indulged too much over the years. I can't be satisfied with you like this. You should go to hell and repent. Nangong Chen shook his head and said softly. But to Wang Batian, it sounded like the whisper of death. The fat on his body trembled, and his face was full of fear. Wang Wuxin looked helpless and could only pray secretly that the family members would arrive quickly. After all, he could not stop this monster. At this moment, several figures rushed over from the void. These people were actually the Wang family. Among them, Wang Tong was also there. When they saw the scene, they were all shocked. He who has double eyes, please wait. Among them, a middle-aged man spoke. He had a strong aura and a burly figure. He was the head of the Wang family, Wang Qi. Wang Qi and others rushed over quickly. After learning the whole story, they were furious and looked at Wang Batian with disappointment. Rebellious son, I usually turn a blind eye to the things you did privately in Chuchong, but today, you provoked the young master. I am so disappointed. Wang Qi cursed loudly and slapped someone hard in the face several times. After being hit by these slaps, Wang Batian felt a burning pain on his face and was a little unconscious. I wonder if this is satisfactory, sir? Wang Qi smiled apologetically and looked at Nangong Chen. Seeing the scene, everyone was shocked. They had not expected that the head of a first-rate, top-tier family would be so servile in front of a person with double pupils. Of course, the most shocked at this moment were the Qing family siblings. They felt like they were dreaming. Those important figures that they usually didn't see were actually like this in front of the young master. Qingyu couldn't help but let her beautiful eyes shine. She actually felt a sense of reliability from a man younger than her. Qing Fan showed admiration on his face and was completely impressed by Nangong Chen. For him, wasn't this the scene he had always dreamed of? Those big shots all respected him so much and bowed down to him. Nangong Chen didn't react much. His eyes were indifferent and his temperament was ethereal, like a natural monarch. He said nothing, but the pressure he exuded was enough to let them know. The next moment, a scream like a pig being slaughtered was heard. Wang Batian's right hand was chopped off by Wang Qi, blood gushed out, and the bones were clearly visible. This scene shocked many people. The Wang family and others looked very sad. They felt that the head of the family was too cruel. Was it really necessary to treat his own son like this? Sir, are you satisfied with this? Wang Qi continued to ask respectfully. Wang Batian also woke up at this moment, and when he saw his bloody right hand, his face turned extremely pale. It hurts so much, Wang Qi. How dare you cut off your son's right hand? He screamed loudly, even calling his father's name, his face full of pain. Occasionally, he looked at Nangong Chen with eyes full of fear. This is so scary. Is he really going to die today? After hearing this, Wang Qi's eyes turned cold, with a flash of disappointment and regret. If his mother hadn't been too indulgent towards Wang Batian, how could he have ended up like this? If I had known this earlier, I should have locked him up and not allowed him to go out. Everyone looked at Nangong Chen, wanting to see how he would react. Nangong Chen remained unmoved, his face expressionless. He even lowered his eyes and took a sip of tea. Seeing this, everyone in the Wang family couldn't help but look a little gloomy. Wang Tung's eyes were icy cold, and he suppressed his anger. Double pupil man, don't go too far. Do you have the right to speak here? Nangong Chen sneered, raised his hand, and a ray of divine light burst out. This divine light was too powerful, and the aura it emitted was extremely terrifying. The next moment, Wang Tung vomited blood and flew backwards. His face was pale, and his eyes were full of shock. He had not expected that the gap between the two of them would be so huge. Chapter 133, The Cruel and Merciless Wang Qi. When the Wang family members saw this scene, they were furious. This boy actually dared to attack in front of them. He was too arrogant. Immediately, a strong man wanted to take action to suppress Nangong Chen's aggressiveness. Seeing this, Qingyu and the others couldn't help but feel nervous. Nangong Chen's eyes were like cold lightning, without any fear. His black hair was flying, like a young supreme being. Of course, his confidence naturally comes from the saint behind him. For those forces without saints, this is a mountain they will never be able to climb over in their lifetime. That's enough. How long are you going to be so confused? Just as a god king of the Wang family was about to take action, Wang Qi's expression changed, and he shouted angrily. The words fell. The god king's face was stiff, and he slowly raised his hand. He was a little confused and didn't know why Wang Qi wanted to stop him. The rest of the Wang family members standing nearby were not in much better condition, looking discouraged. Seeing this scene, Wang Tung's eyes were full of unyielding spirit and his fists were clenched. It's all because he's too weak. He can't even withstand a single move from the one with double pupils. Wang Qi had a complicated expression and did not explain. With his quasi-saint cultivation, he could just feel a breath as cold as the wind staring at him from above the sky. This aura was extremely terrifying, far beyond his ability to match. Perhaps this person was the protector behind the double-pupiled one. Thinking of this, he looked at Wang Batian coldly. It seems that I have to sacrifice you today. Under the witness of everyone, Wang Qi once again drew out the blood-stained sword from his waist and rushed towards Wang Batian. Wang Batian, who was in a state of confusion due to the pain, shuddered when he saw this scene. His mouth trembled as he said in a trembling voice, "Dad, I am your son. What are you doing?" Wang Qi sneered, his eyes extremely cold. He ignored him, raised his sword, and slashed at him. "Damn it, you know you're my son, but you caused me all these beastly troubles. I should have shot you against the wall." Wang Batian was so frightened that he became incontinent, and a turbid liquid with a fishy smell seeped out of his pants. Following a sharp scream. The next moment, a knife was raised and fell, and Wang Batian's remaining 3 limbs were cut off, and he was directly cut into a human stick. Wang Batian fainted from the pain and fell in a pool of blood. When the Wang family and others saw this scene, they were shocked and could not bear to see it. They didn't expect that Wang Qi would be so cruel and ruthless. He would chop people down without any hesitation. By the time they saw what he was thinking, it was already too late. A trace of pity flashed across Qingyu's beautiful eyes, but when she thought of what Wang Batian had done before, that trace of pity disappeared. Well done. You pighead will bully us every day. Even before, this bastard wanted to drug her. If Qing Fan hadn't heard it, her innocence would have been tarnished by this fat pig. Thinking of this, Qingyu's pretty face turned cold and full of disgust. Qing Fan, who was standing by, felt relieved when he saw this scene. You know, Wang Batian had bullied them a lot, and he deserved this fate. I wonder if you're satisfied now, sir? Wang Qi smiled and said that there was still his son's blood on his face, which looked a little creepy. When everyone saw this smile, they couldn't help but feel a little scared. Anyone who can become the head of a family is really cruel. He is cruel not only to others, but also to himself. Today we can finally refresh their impression. As expected of the Wang family head, you are indeed courageous. Now that the misunderstanding has been resolved, everyone can return to their respective homes. Nangong Chen smiled upon seeing this and said politely. He could see that Wang Batian's meridians were broken. With his level of cultivation, it would probably take him hundreds or even thousands of years to reattach his limbs in this lifetime, which would be enough to torture him to death. Ha! Today was truly a misunderstanding. If you don't mind, you can come to my Wang family as a guest anytime. I must welcome you with open arms. Wang Qi also smiled and said politely. To others, they were just like a pair of senior and junior with a good relationship. In that case, I'll take my leave first. Wang Qi bowed, then turned around and dared to show the fear in his eyes. He didn't expect that Nangong Chen would be so cruel and ruthless. He had just been observing Nangong Chen's expression. When the three swords fell, Nangong Chen's expression did not fluctuate at all. In the first three strikes, he was betting that Nangong Chen would change a little. As long as there is the slightest change, he will let go and will not break all of Wang Batian's limbs. Obviously, Nangong Chen expected that he would not stop. Thinking of this, Wang Qi felt a little scared. What a little monster. What would happen if he grew up in the future? Just as he was trembling with thought, a familiar cold voice sounded again. Have you forgotten something? Nangong Chen said quietly, looking at the corpse lying on the ground. Wang Qi was stunned, then turned around and found that Wang Batian was still lying on the ground. Wang Tung, go collect your brother's body. Looking at the half-dead Wang Batian, Wang Qi's face turned cold and he spoke. I forgot about this. The pig is still here. Yes. Wang Tung responded respectfully, then flew down and smelled a foul odor. He suppressed his nausea and used a magic weapon to take Wang Batian in. Just as he was about to leave, Nangong Chen's voice rang out again. Wait a minute, this is someone else's house. It's all dirty. Don't you have any reaction? If passers-by see it, they will think you just slaughtered a pig here. Nangong Chen said coldly. Qingyu, who was standing by, was moved when he heard this. She knew that Nangong Chen was speaking for them. Wang Qi's body was a little stiff when he walked out, and then he turned around helplessly and ordered Wang Tung. Go and clean the ground. When Wang Tung heard this, his eyes darkened, and he quickly refused. I don't want it. Why me? He had just collected Wang Batian's body, and the stench made him want to vomit. If he tried to deal with it, he would probably faint right there. It was hard for him to imagine how his brother could have gotten himself so smelly. Because he's your brother, you have to go even if you don't want to. Wang Qi said seriously with a cold look on his face. When Wang Tung saw this scene, he couldn't help but think of Wang Batian's in just now, and felt a chill in his heart. If I refuse, I won't get stabbed twice. Thinking of this, Wang Tung didn't dare to refuse. With a look of loneliness and sadness in his eyes, he agreed, I'll go. In this way, Wang Tung endured the discomfort and wanted to vomit several times, but finally cleaned the ground. Well, if you want to vomit, go outside. Don't vomit in our house. Just then, Qing Fan spoke with a disgusted look on his face. Qingyu on the side also nodded in agreement. Chapter 134 Heavy Bleeding, the Wang family fled. After hearing this, Wang Tung felt a little angry, but when he thought that Nangong Chen was behind this kid, his anger disappeared immediately. He suppressed the urge to vomit, burst out his cultivation, and left here without looking back, as if he was escaping. When everyone saw this, they couldn't help but wonder, is it really that disgusting? Sir, we can go now, Wang Qi asked tentatively, fearing that this kid would do something tricky again. What do you think? Nangong Chen smiled. Wang Qi finally breathed a sigh of relief. Finally, nothing else happened. Just as they turned around and were about to leave, Nangong Chen's voice rang out again. Wait! Hearing this devilish voice, even Wang Qi, who is usually patient, couldn't help but clench his fists. Why do you have so many things to do? Of course, he could only say this in his heart. If he said it out loud, he might not be able to leave here today. He could only suppress the anger in his heart, force a smile, turn around and say, "Sir, is there anything else?" Everyone in the Wang family had been tortured to the point of becoming extremely sensitive, but they didn't dare to say much. Wang Batian has taken so much money from others. Don't you want to show some appreciation? Nangong Chen said calmly, his eyes dim. After hearing this, Wang Qi frowned and realized that, yes, that beast had robbed someone of their money and hadn't returned it yet. "Sir, what do you think is appropriate?" Wang Qi asked, looking at Nangong Chen respectfully. Nangong Chen thought for a moment, looked at Qingyu and the other two, and asked, "How much money did he take from you?" Then, everyone in the Wang family looked over. Qingyu felt it. Her delicate body trembled, and she felt very nervous, as if sitting on pins and needles. But even so, she still thought about it carefully, counted on her fingers, and replied seriously, "Sir, in these 2 years, there are a total of more than 238,472 spirit stones." She calculated every single one of these items carefully, so there wouldn't be so many mistakes. After hearing this, Wang Qi felt relieved. Fortunately, it was not a lot, just a few 100,000 spirit stones. In their eyes, it was just a drizzle. "In that case, how about I give you 300,000 spirit stones?" Wang Qi spoke with a look of charity in his eyes, and he had an inexplicable liking for this honest and trustworthy child. Qingyu didn't say anything and looked at Nangong Chen. Nangong Chen sneered. "This little amount of spirit stones is just to send away a beggar. 300,000 spirit stones. I didn't expect the Wang family to be so petty. In our Tianyuan prefecture, even beggars wouldn't take this little money. So, just give me some immortal crystals as a token of your reluctance." Nangong Chen said slowly, his tone cold. As soon as these words were spoken, the whole audience fell silent. No one in the Wang family expected that Nangong Chen would ask for such a huge sum of money, and that he would ask for a fairy crystal. You know, one fairy crystal is equivalent to 100 million spirit stones, which is not a concept of hundreds of thousands. Qingyu and the others were stunned by the huge number. They could hardly believe it and felt like it was a piece of cake. 300,000 spirit stones, just to send away a beggar? Qingyu was shocked, but when he thought about how the young master even gave him a top-grade spirit crystal for showing him the way, he knew that this was probably true. Could it be that the Wang family can't even afford a single immortal crystal? At this moment, Nangong Chen spoke again, with some contempt in his tone. "What a poor guy. He doesn't even have immortal crystals. This is really too much." Wang Qi thought about it, but still gritted his teeth and said with a bit of pain in his heart, "One immortal crystal is one immortal crystal. My Wang family can afford it. I just don't know. The immortal crystal is so precious. If it is left with his brother and sister, can they keep it?" As soon as these words were spoken, Qingyu and the other person's expressions changed, and they felt a little heavy in their hearts. They didn't think of this aspect. After hearing Wang Qi's words, Nangong Chen narrowed his eyes and said coldly, "Are you threatening me?" Wang Qi's expression changed, and he smiled apologetically. "I dare not. I'm just afraid that it will be snatched away by someone else with ulterior motives. Just a reminder, sir." He cursed in his heart. "This kid is really difficult to deal with. You don't need to worry about this. Whoever tries to steal, it will become my enemy. I'm putting it this way." Nangong Chen shook his head and spoke confidently, with an air of looking down on the world. After he finished speaking, Wang Qi frowned. He looked at Qingyu and the other person carefully, wanted to know their background, and why the person with double pupils paid so much attention to them. Qingyu and Qingfan were shocked. They didn't expect Nangong Chen to say that. "The young master is so kind to us." Her beautiful eyes shone brightly as she looked at Nangong Chen in fascination. "Now that the young master has spoken, I believe no one in the world dares to have any ideas about this immortal crystal." Wang Qi spoke, then took out an exquisite wooden box and flew over. After Nangong Chen received it, he confirmed that it was authentic and handed the wooden box to the two of them. When everyone in the Wang family saw this scene, they felt extremely sad. Wang Qi felt even more pain in his body and became angry when he thought of Wang Batian. He does nothing good, but always does bad things. Useless thing. He even had some doubts. Was Wang Batian really his son? How can he compare with his brother? The two are so far apart. Since there is nothing else to do, we will take our leave first. Wang Qi bowed and wanted to leave quickly. Everyone in the Wang family also breathed a sigh of relief. Finally, everything was fine. Today had made them extremely sensitive. "Wait, have you forgotten one person?" At this moment, Nangong Chen said playfully, looking at Aniu, who was crawling in the distance and trying to escape. He had not forgotten how arrogant this man was before. Wang Qi's face froze, and he turned around with some confusion in his heart, looking towards Nangong Chen, and saw the crawling Ainyu at a glance. For a moment, everyone's eyes were cast on the wretched figure. Anyo's face was extremely pale. He had never expected that he was almost escaping from here, but was exposed by the man with double pupils. Being stared at by so many people, he trembled uncontrollably. He slowly turned his head, revealing a smile uglier than crying, and said, "My lords, I'm just stretching my body." "Who is he?" Wang Qi asked in a low voice, looking at the tribesman beside him. When Wang Wuxin saw him, he said, "Master, he is the second young master's follower. He was the one who suggested the young master come here today." After hearing this, Wang Qi burst out with a chilling, murderous intent, and looked at Ainyu with eyes as cold as swords. Okay, it turns out it was you, kid, who led my son astray and caused me to bleed heavily today." Being looked at in this way, Anyo's face turned even paler, and he began to tremble. "If it weren't for the young master's reminder, I'm afraid you would have escaped today. Come, capture him," Wang Qi said coldly, with a hint of cruelty in his eyes. Then a huge hand came down and grabbed Ainyu. When Ainyu saw this scene, he felt despair. Obviously, if he went there this time, his fate would definitely be even worse than Wang Baishan's. Just like that, after some people from the Wang family finished dealing with the last matter, they left quickly without looking back. This place is so fucking weird. If they stay any longer, they are afraid that the devil's voice will sound again. Chapter 135 Relics, Choice. The other side, outside the gate of Chu City, a snow-white, fairy-like figure quietly appeared. The woman wore a silver shawl, with delicate and beautiful facial features and an ice phoenix mark between her eyebrows. She was like a goddess above the 9 heavens, cold and noble. She walked like a lotus, with graceful manners and exuding a powerful aura. The moment she appeared, she became the focus of the whole audience, and countless shocked eyes fell on Su Li. After seeing this, some women couldn't help but feel a little eclipsed and felt surprised and envious, gritting their teeth. Such beauty and strength are not something they can envy. It's so beautiful, oh my god. Is this a fairy descending to earth? If I could marry a woman like this, I would rather lose my entire life. All the men present here couldn't help but say it in fascination. Their eyes were very hot. The burly god king guard at the door felt such a cold breath that he shuddered after letting the last person in. He was a little surprised, and then he looked forward and saw such a beautiful woman. The body of the divine king's guard trembled, and his eyes were filled with shock. Of course, what shocked him was not Su Li's beauty, but her aura that was no less than his. This woman is definitely a peerless genius. Thinking of this, the God King's guards consciously made way, lowered their heads, and let Su Li go straight in without asking any questions. When everyone saw this scene, their pupils shrank slightly, and they swallowed secretly. This guy is treating them differently, isn't he? Aren't they human beings? But this is just a complaint. This kind of genius is not on the same level as them, so it is reasonable that he does not need to be examined. Just like the day before, the big shot with the quasi-saint beast pulling the cart, and the famous Qi, was let go easily just like today. Thinking of this, some people showed curiosity on their faces. What kind of person was in that carriage? Seeing that the figure of the fairy-like woman finally disappeared from their sight, these people breathed a sigh of relief and dared to talk out loud, with curiosity in their eyes. Who is this woman, the pride of that great power? The aura she exudes is far too cold. When she just passed by, it was like an iceberg drifting by. There's a phoenix mark between her eyebrows. Could it be that this woman is a demon from the Phoenix clan? But why can't I sense any demonic aura? It doesn't seem right. You should just ignore their identities. The Immortal Treasure exhibition is about to begin, and all the geniuses from the entire Xintian territory are gathering here. Is it surprising that some evildoers from hidden families appear? Yes, besides, if this woman is a genius from another state, then it makes sense. I just don't know which state she is from. Everyone was talking about it, guessing which faction Su Li came from. What they don't know is that after this immortal hiding, Su Li will also become famous throughout the world. Qing family. Sir, today we are all in great thanks to you. If you weren't here, I'm afraid we would be bullied by these bullies again. After seeing what happened today, Qing Yu couldn't help but speak, his tone full of gratitude. Qing Fan, who was standing aside, also looked at Nangong Chen with a passionate expression and admiration in his eyes. He also wanted to become a man as upright as the one with double pupils, but unfortunately, his talent was wasted, and now even standing is a problem for him. Thinking of this, Qing Fan looked depressed and lowered his eyes to look at his legs. It's nothing, just a small matter. Nangong Chen waved his hand and said indifferently. Then, he handed the fairy crystal to Qing Yu. When Qing Yu saw this, he quickly shook his head, his face full of guilt. Sir, no, this immortal crystal is too valuable. We can't have it. Besides, today's achievements are all yours. This immortal crystal is yours both morally and logically. Hearing this refusal, Nangong Chen raised his eyebrows and said, "Take it. Your brother's leg is not healed yet. Besides, this immortal crystal is insignificant to me and will not be of much use." Then, Nangong Chen walked into the compound without giving her a chance to say more. Qingyu held the wooden box in his hand and saw the figure in white from behind, his expression a little complicated. "Sister, please accept it. The young master may not look down on these melons and dates." Qing Fan on the side also smiled bitterly and said helplessly, "It's not that he wanted to covet this fairy crystal, but if he refused, he was afraid that the other party would be unhappy." From a young master's previous words, it can be inferred that he must come from a super terrifying family. But this is too much. After hearing this, Qingyu was a little at a loss. After hesitating for a while, he reluctantly accepted it. The cost of treating her brother's leg injury is a considerable expense, even an astronomical figure for them, and they are very short of money now. This piece of fairy crystal is undoubtedly a life-saving straw for them. "Brother, why don't we give that thing to the young master?" Suddenly, Qingyu spoke. She would feel guilty if she didn't give Nangong Chen anything. The only valuable thing she could think of now was the jade pendant passed down from her ancestors. After hearing this, Qing Fan's pupils shrank slightly, and he asked in disbelief, "You want to give that thing to the young master?" But he found it a little difficult to say it, because this jade pendant was a relic given to them by their parents. "We have no other way to repay you, sir." Qingyu's beautiful eyes drooped as she said helplessly. She was now in a state of great conflict. When they were alive, their parents had asked them to repay their kindness and be grateful to others. But at this moment, the only thing she could think of to express her gratitude to the young master was that piece of relic. This made her feel very anxious and at a loss as to what to do. Qing Fan was silent for a moment, then said softly, "That's right, sister. Then give the jade pendant to the young master. If mother and father were still alive, they would understand us. After all, they love to talk about repaying kindness." After Qingyu heard this, her beautiful eyes lit up, and she was very surprised. She didn't expect that her brother could understand her. Qingyu nodded heavily, and like a little girl, ran into the courtyard excitedly. When Qing Fan saw this scene, his eyes darkened. Did he agree to her too early? It feels like his sister simply gave it to the young master because she liked him. I don't know if it was his illusion. A hint of suspicion appeared in Qing Fan's clear eyes. Chapter 136, Su Li Fights Yi Guqing. In the courtyard, Nangong Chen looked at the flowers and plants in front of him and couldn't help but fall into deep thought. I don't know whether Su Li has come to Chu City. In 2 days, the immortal treasure will be opened. If it is too late, it will be too late. But based on Su Li's personality, she shouldn't make such a low-level mistake. Maybe she has already arrived. Thinking of this, Nangong Chen no longer worried about Su Li. With a thought, he made a rune float in the void. This book records the information about this immortal treasure and was handed to him personally by his father. He was told to read it before entering. Otherwise, he would suffer the consequences. When Nangong Chen raised his hand, a wisp of spiritual energy entered the rune, bursting out with light, and soon, a long string of characters appeared in the void. Nangong Chen was not surprised when he saw this. He was already used to it. This was a common recording method in Xiantian domain and was safer than letters. Soon, his thoughts were immersed in it. Outside the window, Qingyu's footsteps stopped abruptly. She saw this scene through the door curtain, turned her head away, and left quietly. Before leaving, he closed the door. It seems that I can only wait until the young master finishes his work and then hand it over to him. Qingyu looked at the sword-shaped jade pendant in his hand and thought to himself, if Nangong Chen saw this jade pendant at this moment, he would be a little surprised. Isn't this one of the remaining fragments of the sword embryo? The largest martial arts arena in Chu City was extremely lively at this moment, with huge crowds of people gathered here, their eyes burning as they looked at the 2 figures in the void. Even some top sects and immortal forces were alarmed and sent people to watch. Although it was not as popular as the battle on the top of Chu Family Mountain, it still caused a sensation in Chu City. The reason is simple. Today, a white-haired woman came to Chu City. Not only is her face extremely beautiful, but her talent is also appalling. To everyone's shock, he immediately challenged the top 10 geniuses on the list. Because of the person with double pupils, Prince A.O. Long was beheaded, and all the geniuses on the heavenly ranking who came after him benefited from this, and moved up 1 place. Coincidentally, the 10th place on the heavenly ranking returned to its original position of Jiangche. Everyone originally thought that this battle was a battle with no chance of winning, but they did not expect that this white-haired woman would slap them hard in the face and defeat Jiangche in a crushing manner. After defeating Jiangche, he didn't even take a break and directly launched an attack on the 8th place on the heavenly ranking. The 8th on the heavenly ranking is none other than Lu Wuxin, the evildoer of the Liu family who is hailed as the reincarnation of an immortal. You should know that the gap between Liu Wuxin and Jiang Che is just as huge. Everyone originally thought that this battle would be an evenly matched duel, but they did not expect that this white-haired woman would slap them hard in the face and crush Liu Wuxin as well. Just when everyone thought that this woman would sweep all the way, the white-haired woman actually challenged Yi Guqing, who was ranked 4th on the heavenly ranking. The reason was simple. This person was the evildoer of the Sun God Palace. At this moment, the two people in the void were Su Li and Yi Guqing. Although I don't know why you challenged me directly, I will not show mercy to you, just because you are a woman. Yi Guqing said coldly, with a hint of saintly aura on his body. In his body, there was a precious bone that emitted a crystal-clear divine light, and the pressure it exuded was enough to make everyone's face change. When the saint's bones appear in the world, all living things will worship them. I'm afraid Yi Guqing is really angry this time, and is going to take real action. Seeing this, someone looked at Su Li and said with some concern, but it makes sense when you think about it. The white-haired woman did not challenge Yi Guqing step by step, but challenged him directly in one step. For any genius, this would probably be unacceptable in their hearts. And it was precisely because he stepped on Yi Guqing's red line that he couldn't accept it. We have no grudges against each other. Is it because you look easy to deal with that you challenge me? You're from a sun palace, right? Su Li said coldly. Her voice was as sweet as the spring water from the sky. Are you scared now? It's not too late to get rid of it. Yi Guqing sneered and responded coldly. You still want to step on him. Do you really think you have double pupils? That's right. Stop talking nonsense and get started. Su Li Dai frowned slightly, and an even colder air burst out from her body, making the entire void seem to solidify. It was obvious that she was angry. Qi Yao in the void saw this scene and said jokingly, "Oh my, you are going to avenge your husband." If that boy saw this, he would probably be moved to tears. She raised a smile, and her eyes were playful. Others didn't know why Su Li was angry. She had followed Su Li for so long, but she knew what she was thinking very well. This girl has no good feelings towards the Sun God Palace, because Nangong Chen was almost assassinated by the quasi-saint of the Sun God Palace. She is ready to take revenge on them. Moreover, on the way, Su Li was specifically trying to grab the opportunity to become a disciple of the Sun God art, and she didn't even look at other forces. She was definitely going to turn herself into a crazy little demon to protect her husband. Yi Guqing frowned when he felt this aura. Could it be that he was wrong? This woman was not afraid of their Sun God Palace? But never mind. Since that's the case, let's suppress it today. It just so happened that he hasn't appeared recently, and all the limelight has been stolen by those geniuses who suddenly appeared, especially the one with double pupils. Now this battle will also allow him to increase his prestige. Let the world know that I, Yi Guqing, am also a monster. Boom! A brilliant light burst out from Yi Guqing's chest, cold lightning flashed in his eyes, and he stood in the void, like a living saint. Such power shocked many people. Over there, Su Li had a peerless beauty. The phoenix mark between her eyebrows glowed with divine light. A sacred aura was bestowed upon her. Her skirt fluttered in the wind. She looked as cool and pure as an immortal, just like the mysterious lady above the 9 heavens. In the void where she was, the shadow of a phoenix emerged, causing a resonance between the way of heaven. The aura exuded by such power is even stronger than before, and it can even vaguely suppress Yi Guqing on the opposite side. After Yi Guqing felt it, a hint of fear appeared in his eyes, and his expression gradually became serious. It is a character, but it seems that I can't play it casually. Soon, the two men attacked. The void trembled, and the waves that erupted from a casual blow were enough to shake the entire world. The divine light and the ice phoenix intertwined, and the two figures reached extreme speed and collided in the void. When everyone saw it, their eyes were filled with shock. The white-haired woman had not yet exerted her full strength and was still hiding. Seeing this scene, a figure suddenly appeared in everyone's mind, and that figure was the one with double pupils. They didn't expect that there would be someone today who looked so similar to the person with double pupils that day. But soon, someone reacted and spoke excitedly. I think I know who she is. Do you remember that there was a prodigy named Su Li on the heavenly ranking with 9th grade talent and the Ice Phoenix divine body? It was her. Chapter 137, The Connection with the Double Pupil. When these words were spoken, everyone looked a little confused for a moment, but after they realized what was happening, more and more people exclaimed in surprise. Yes, that's right. I have some impression of it. I still remember that day when the person with double pupils entered the 10th place on the heavenly ranking, but this woman quietly entered the 30th place on the heavenly ranking. Hiss, it seems like she came from Eastern Xinzhou. Could it be that there is some connection between this woman and the one with double pupils? Upon hearing this, some people's eyes lit up and they looked at each other, unable to hide the shock on their faces. They had never imagined that such a tiny place could produce two such monsters. Was this still the remote state they had always looked down upon? The most important thing is that these two monsters rushed all the way to the top 10 of the heavenly ranking, as easy as drinking water. Their sudden appearance was so shocking. Not far away, the Chu family and others saw this scene, and their eyes flashed. Another evildoer has suddenly appeared today. TSK, TSK, TSK. The immortal treasure is about to be opened. It's different. An old woman spoke, and behind her followed a strong man from another branch of the Chu family. This person is Chu Yan's old rival, Chu Ruchuan. I don't know which powerful force this woman belongs to. She looks a little unfamiliar. If she can be brought into our Chu family during this immortal treasure hunt, it would be a great help to us. Chu Ruchuan stared at the figure in the void and sighed. But soon, Chu Yan's words shattered her fantasy. This woman doesn't belong to any particular faction. She and the man with double pupils are from the Great Zhou Dynasty of Eastern Shenzhou. She is his Taoist partner. Chu Yan glanced at her and said lightly. After leaving the Nine Heavens secret realm that day, she understood everything. When these words were spoken, not only Chu Ruchuan was surprised, but even the other tribesmen were shocked. They didn't expect that this monster who suddenly appeared had such an unknown relationship with the person with double pupils. Two evil spirits in one family. So terrifying. Just what kind of power is the Great Zhou Dynasty of Eastern Shenzhou? How come I've never heard of it before? After a long silence, someone finally raised his question in a trembling voice. Everyone also looked at Su Li, very curious. What kind of power must be able to give birth to two such peerless geniuses? The Great Zhou Dynasty is not the hidden power you imagine. It is just a first-rate dynasty. Now, I heard that the power behind the double pupil man has been destroyed and renamed the Tianyuan Divine Dynasty. Chu Yan said calmly that she was not like this diehard who was so conservative and was well-informed. After he finished speaking, everyone widened their eyes, finding it hard to accept. These two evildoers actually came from first-rate power, and now, this first-rate dynasty seems to have been destroyed by the power behind the double pupil person. After the Great Zhou Dynasty was destroyed, the forces behind the man with double pupils established a new dynasty and named it the Tianyuan Divine Dynasty. This incident contains a lot of information. Everyone was silent, with glints in their eyes. It was obvious that they were slowly accepting this information. But not long after, everyone came back to their senses and looked enlightened. It seems that the man with double pupils and this woman are not from this first-rate force. It is probably best to say that they are from the force behind the man with double pupils. Someone spoke up. These people nodded and secretly breathed a sigh of relief. If these two monsters really came from a first-rate force, where would these top forces put their faces? But this divine dynasty is a bit too arrogant. You know, even those immortal dynasties don't dare to name themselves after gods. An elder of the tribe thought for a while and spoke. Divine dynasty, humph. Such a tone is just like that kid with double pupils. I wonder if they are worthy of it. It will be interesting if they fail to show their due strength and background. Chu Ruchuan snorted coldly and said with a bad look. After she heard that the woman was the Taoist partner of a person with double pupils, she felt a little unhappy. As for the reason why she had no good feelings towards people with double pupils, it was because Chu Yan had previously wanted to win over people with double pupils to strengthen their lineage. You're already quite old, so please stop worrying about this. Otherwise, when the time comes, the Tianyuan Divine Dynasty will be as invincible as the one with double pupils, and you will be humiliated again. Chu Yan didn't indulge her at all and spoke out. She wasn't defending anyone. She was simply annoyed with old Biden. Sure enough, after hearing what Chu Yan said, Chu Ruchuan fell silent and just looked at her deeply. At this moment, the battle in the empty city of Chu has become intense. Yi Guqing's black clothes had already festering, and there was a hint of frost on wounds. He was gasping for air and had long lost his previous high spirits. He didn't expect that this woman would be so difficult to deal with. On the other side, Su Li stood in the void. Her beautiful eyes were cold, her skin was snow white, and the shadow of the black phoenix bloomed behind her, like a true phoenix goddess standing proudly in the world, with a kind of soaring posture. Obviously, Su Li has been the upper hand in this battle so far. This scene also stunned many people on the street. Oh my god, this Su Li is too strong. Even Yi Guqing, who is ranked 4th on the heavenly ranking, is unable to resist him. No wonder she challenged Yi Guqing directly without any fear. It turns out that confidence comes from confidence. I'm afraid today, we are going to witness the birth of another myth. They couldn't help but speak, their faces full of shock. Previously, some geniuses who were not optimistic about Su Li also fell silent. The current situation is simply a slap in their faces. I don't know who is stronger between this woman and the one with double pupils. Some people couldn't help but ask. When these words were spoken, everyone was stunned. Yeah, it seems they haven't considered this issue yet. Both of these two are invincible. If they were to face off, it would probably be a spectacular fight between dragons and tigers. Of course, these people paid more attention to Su Li's breathtakingly beautiful face. Even some of the geniuses on the heavenly ranking looked at the beautiful figure in the void with great enthusiasm. Beautiful and powerful. Isn't this the dream couple in their hearts? I wonder if this fairy has a Taoist partner. At this moment, a young genius asked what everyone was thinking. After hearing this, everyone looked up into the void with burning eyes. They also wanted to know, but someone immediately replied, "She and the one with double pupils are from the same place. Please protect the fairy from getting involved with the one with double pupils." As soon as these words were spoken, everyone fell silent when they heard the word person with double pupils. The power brought by the three words double pupils is not comparable to that of other geniuses in the Xiantian realm. He is simply the devil of the world, an existence that no one dares to provoke. If Su Li is really related to the person with double pupils, then they should just think about it. No, they dare not even think about it. But soon, another battle broke out in the void, and everyone's thoughts. Chapter 138, Su Li's Victory. How could I lose to a woman? Yi Guqing looked unwilling and pulled out an ice spike that was stuck in his arm. Blood gushed out and he roared angrily. He was enveloped in golden light, and the saint's bone glass on his chest was white and smooth, bursting out with holy light, and a surge of power was brewing in his body. The aura exuded shocked many people present, as if they saw an ancient saint in the world. You must know that the saint bones in Yi Guqing's body are not ordinary saint bones. It is said that they are the symbol of the reincarnation of an ancient saint. The ancient saints are completely different from the saints of this era. Even in the upper realm, they are extremely powerful. It is said that this saint's bone has a magic trick with infinite power. It is the highest and most powerful skill. The divine light it emits is enough to annihilate all living beings and things. Now, Yi Guqing is probably planning this killer move. Thinking of this, everyone's faces showed worry, and they looked at Su Li. In the void, after Su Li felt it, her beautiful face became very calm. Her beautiful eyes shone with crystal light. Her white hands showed Buddha's gesture, and a Xianfeng true voice was deafening. The ice phoenix mark between her eyebrows also burst out with light. Her eyes were cold. Her skin was snow white. Her silver hair was flying, and she looked down on all living beings with an innate nobility. Similarly, she was also gathering her killing move with astonishing power. Boom! The next moment, the two of them attacked together with such power that even the void was shaking. The divine light that gushed out from the saint's bones fell directly on the lifelike ice phoenix, like a collision of huge stars, raising all kinds of dust. The ripples of mana emanating from it even shook the sky. After some of the older generation of strong men sensed it, they couldn't help but feel solemn. This kind of fight is even more powerful than that between their peers. It is hard to imagine that this is what a genius in the realm of great power can unleash. Most of the people at the scene had pale faces and shrunken pupils. But even so, they were still excited and wanted to see who was stronger between the two. Soon, the winner was decided. A figure fell from the clouds and crashed onto the arena. The force was so terrifying that it actually smashed a huge hole in the 10,000-year-old black iron. This also shocked many powerful people, and they looked over there in disbelief. This was 10,000-year-old black iron, which even they could hardly break. How could it be broken in the battle between the two juniors today? When everyone saw the person in the pit clearly, their faces changed and they gasped. Yi Guqing, who was hailed as a little saint, was defeated. In the big pit on the arena, Yi Guqing was seen covered in wounds. His body was tattered. The precious bones on his chest were dimmed. He was trembling constantly, and his face was extremely pale. Su Li's move is not only terrifyingly powerful, but also carries an extremely cold chill. If you get injured in the battle, the biting cold will spread. Not only can it slow down the blood flow and the opponent's self-healing ability, but it can also torture the opponent physically and mentally, as if falling into an ice cave. Now, Yi Guqing is feeling this. In the void, that beautiful figure stood there, her ice-blue eyes without a trace of emotion, staring coldly down, as if a god was looking down. In this battle, Su Li won completely. When everyone saw this, they secretly swallowed their saliva. Today, they witnessed the birth of another legend. Someone in the crowd, unknown to the public, took the lead in shouting, "Ice Phoenix Goddess," and then overwhelming shouts rang out. "Ice Phoenix Goddess! Ice Phoenix Goddess! Ice Phoenix Goddess!" These people were blushing and very excited, their hearts full of admiration. At this moment, they were completely impressed by Su Li's strength. From today onwards, The name of the Ice Phoenix goddess will undoubtedly resound throughout the entire Xiantian realm, just like the man with double pupils that day. Jiang Che, who was watching this scene from afar, couldn't help but sigh. Such a monster has appeared. Now it seems that we can defeat it without losing face. Lu Wuxin also smiled and said, "It is said that she is from the same place as the one with double pupils. Eastern Shenzhou is truly a land of outstanding people and talents. It can actually give birth to such a genius. I have no regrets in defeat." At this moment, the sadness in the hearts of the two people was diverted. In a luxurious attic, a moon-white figure was also looking at Su Li. Her expression was complicated, and no one knew what she was thinking. This person is Jiang Yingwe. Has another evildoer emerged? It seems that the fortune of Xintian territory is still strong after all. Jiang Yingwe couldn't help but sigh, her eyes as pure as the moon looking into the distance. At this moment, Su Li, who was treated like a star by everyone, had a calm expression, with a hint of relief in her eyes. You know, when she competed with other geniuses before, she never used such heavy hands. If there were no rules on the arena that prohibit hands from being frozen to death, I'm afraid the genius of the Sun God Palace would have died here today. Thinking of this, she felt a little regretful. She retracted the sword in her hand and wanted to turn around and leave. At this moment, an angry rebuke was heard. "You want to leave just after you've hurt someone from the Sun Palace? You're so brave." A powerful figure appeared in the void, looking at Su Li with murderous intent. In the arena, Yi Guqing was also treated. He looked at Su Li with resentment, and a hint of murderous intent flashed in his eyes. "This woman is the first one who has hurt me so badly in all these years." At the same time, he also felt puzzled. He clearly felt that when Su Li fought against him, he was very ruthless and did not hold back at all. It was as if he was Su Li's enemy. "Elder Yunfei, let her die here, don't let her escape." At this time, Yi Guqing gritted his teeth and said that the coldness in his body made him unable to stop and was in great pain. He wished he could inflict this pain on Su Li. If the younger generation can't defeat them, the elders must take over. Your Sun God Palace is nothing more than that. Su Li said coldly, her brows frosted. She felt a little regretful. If she had known earlier, she should have killed Yi Guqing. After hearing this, Yunfei sneered and stared at her with his old eyes. So what? In this world, the strong make the rules, and the weak should obey. With his quasi-saint cultivation, it is too easy for him to crush a small insect to death. You are the only one in the Sun Palace who can speak of shamelessness as if it were a matter of course. At this moment, a cold voice sounded in the void. Chapter 139, Young Master's Wife? Everyone is shocked. The sound is like a loud bell, like thunder coming out of nowhere. For a moment, everyone's eyes were looking into the void. I saw a tall and majestic figure appear in the clouds. He had a sharp gaze and held a large golden bow in his hand. The aura he exuded was so strong that it even tore the space apart. The corners of his lips twitched, his face was extremely cold, and an astonishing murderous intent burst out. He actually dared to attack the young mistress. He deserved to die. You know, if nothing unexpected happened to Su Li in the future, she would be the queen above everyone else in the divine dynasty, respected by all the people and of noble status. If she died in front of him, he would even commit suicide in Chu City. If he had not been hiding above Chu City to protect the young master today, he would not have witnessed such a dangerous situation. Otherwise, the young master's mother might have had an accident today. These people deserve to die. Hiss! Everyone felt this aura and was shocked. It turned out to be a saint who had descended. As they looked more closely, they felt more and more that something was wrong. Hey, why does it look familiar? If I remember correctly, this saint seemed to be the protector behind the person with double pupils back then. Some of them recognized him and were a little moved. Below, Su Li felt relieved after seeing this. If Uncle Chi had not taken action today, the situation would have been dangerous. There is a rule in the martial arts world that if geniuses fight on the arena, regardless of whether they win or lose, after the fight is over, the other elders and protectors are absolutely not allowed to take action. This rule was also implemented in the battle for the heavenly ranking. Everyone knew that if they took action, not only would they admit that they were impatient, but it would also make the power behind them appear petty. Therefore, such incidents were almost rare in the past 100 years. This is also why the rankings on the heavenly list are constantly changing, and more talented people are able to make the list. However, she did not expect that today the famous Sun God Palace would be so shameless as to attack her as a quasi-saint. Although she has a way to escape, it will also expose her trump card. If it is exposed like this before the immortal treasure is opened, it will be extremely disadvantageous to her after entering. Thinking of this, Su Li's expression gradually relaxed. She looked at Qi Yun with her beautiful eyes, cupped her hands, and said softly, "Uncle Qi." When Qi Yao, who was standing by, saw this. She yawned, stretched, revealing her sexy figure, with a look of expectation in her eyes. She knew that Su Li was probably fine today. As soon as she entered Chu City, she sensed the presence of Nangong Chen and Qi Yun. Besides, if it really came to that, wouldn't she be there? Now that she'd recuperated for a while and had regained some of her strength, it was just right for someone to practice with. Young Master's mother. Qi Yun in the void had a cold expression on his face, but after hearing Su Li's words, his expression immediately softened and he responded very respectfully. He looked at Su Li with admiration in his eyes. He originally thought that the young master was too talented and that his peers would not be able to catch up with him. However, Su Li was so dazzling today that it gave him a big surprise. When these words were spoken, the onlookers were shocked. Young mistress? This saint actually respectfully addressed the Ice Phoenix goddess as young mistress. He is the protector of people with double pupils, so that means the so-called young master is a person with double pupils. Thinking of this, many people's eyes lit up. They didn't expect that there was such a relationship between the two. But more than that, there are the sounds of heartbreak. If you listen carefully, you can hear how clear the heartbreaks are in the hearts of many geniuses present. At this moment, the most shocking thing was the palace of the sun god. When they saw that Qi Yun and Su Li in front of them had a special relationship, they began to have some thoughts of backing out. The elder Yun Fei, who had just wanted to kill Su Li, was now even more gloomy, and his eyes were full of fear. Yi Guqing clenched his hands, his face turned pale, and there was a sense of powerlessness and regret in his eyes. If I had known what would happen earlier, I shouldn't have attacked her, and I wouldn't have ended up in this situation. I've long seen that this girl is incredibly talented and comes from a wealthy family, so I just had the intention of testing her. I didn't expect you to show up. It seems this was all a misunderstanding. Yun Fei's expression was uncertain 1 second ago, but the next moment he spoke with a smile, looking very familiar. Misunderstanding, huh? If I had arrived a step later, I'm afraid you, a blind thing, would have taken action. Qi Yun said in a cold voice that Yun Fei's words were of no use to him at all. Seeing this, Yun Fei stopped pretending, his eyes darkened, and his tone was cold. We are from the Sun God Palace. Today your disciples are so rampant. As the ancestors of the human race, we naturally have to teach them a lesson. So, are you planning to attack our Sun God Palace now? He just couldn't believe that the power of those with double pupils would be so arrogant that they would dare to take action here. Behind him, the other 4 elders also followed, looking aggressive, cold, and domineering. The aura they exude is enough to show that there are 5 quasi-saints here. Seeing this, everyone couldn't help but sigh at the wealth and strong foundation of the palace of the sun god. It seems that the Ice Phoenix goddess and her side will have to swallow their anger today. After all, no one in Xintian territory wants to make enemies with such a giant force. After Su Li heard this, her beautiful eyes flashed. Although she was furious, she did not lose her mind. Otherwise, forget it. After all, today's incident was caused by her. If it deepens the conflict between the two sides, it will probably bring a lot of trouble to the newly established Tianyuan divine dynasty. She didn't want to see those who loved her, the people she loved, implicated. But the next moment, a golden divine light streaked across the sky and fell from the sky at an extremely fast speed, almost turning into an afterimage. A shrill scream rang out. Everyone saw clearly that the divine light was actually a divine arrow, which was now piercing through the head of an elder of the Sun God Palace. Blood was dripping and his life was constantly fading. Seeing this scene, the onlookers were shocked. They never expected Qi Yun to take action. Meanwhile, the remaining 4 elders of the Sun God Palace were extremely pale. Yun Fei's pupils shrank slightly as he shouted, "Run!" In an instant, the previously majestic elders of the Sun God Palace fled in all directions like frightened birds. Of course, Yun Fei did not forget and picked up Yi Guqing and ran away together. After seeing this, Qi Yun did not continue to pursue him. A sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth. Although this old man has been hiding in Dongzhou, he is not afraid of you quasi-saints. Then, a trace of regret appeared in his eyes. He was just about to kill Yun Fei. What a pity. Chapter 140 Burning Dao, Qianlong Immortal Dynasty. Below, Su Li was stunned when she saw it. After she came to her senses, a warm feeling surged in her heart and a faint smile appeared at the corner of her mouth, which was so beautiful that it was earth-shattering. Is this what it feels like to have someone behind you? It seems pretty good. Of course, she knew that in the final analysis, it all came down to her marrying Nangong Chen and becoming a member of the Nangong family. Since you have protected me for a while, if I rise in the future, I will protect you for the rest of your life. Su Li's beautiful eyes flashed, and an idea took root in her mind. Seeing the figure in the void retreat, Su Li didn't say much. She knew that Qi Yun could not show up and had to protect Nangong Chen in secret. Thinking of Nangong Chen, Suli couldn't help but feel curious. What was the other party doing at the moment? On the way here, she heard that Nangong Chen killed Prince Ao Long without any effort. This dispelled her worries. She didn't expect that after not seeing her for so long, her husband was still as perverted as before. However, if Nangong Chen knew what I did today, he would probably be shocked. Hee, I really want to see that expression. Suli thought with some evil humor. A smile appeared on the corner of her mouth, and under the gaze of everyone, she quickly disappeared into the crowd. Soon, the news that the Ice Phoenix Goddess had defeated the Second Order of the Sun Palace and the little Saint Yi Guqing spread throughout the entire Chu city at an extremely fast speed and was even spreading outward. Another piece of bombshell news was also reported. That is, the Ice Phoenix Goddess was suspected to be the Taoist partner of the man with double pupils. Of course, this news was even more explosive and even vaguely overshadowed the battle of the Ice Phoenix Goddess. Overnight, countless young girls were heartbroken, but even so, they would still support Nangong Chen without hesitation. The reason is simple. That is, Nangong Chen is so handsome, and they're the most loyal fans of his looks. But at the same time, some people sneered. After all, Prince Ao Long's master will be going to the lower realms in half a year. By then, any forces associated with the person with double pupils would likely be liquidated, let alone the people around him. They can't wait for time to pass and see the plight of those with double pupils in half a year. You know, the higher you stand, the more painful it will be when you fall, let alone this kind of monster. Chu family. Sister, I never thought that the silver-haired woman we saw in the Nine Heavens secret realm that day would be so strong. After Chu Xing learned the news, he spoke in a low voice with some excitement in his tone. Being locked up these days is almost suffocating him. But fortunately, he got to know so many exciting news as soon as he came out, which made him crazy and his eyes sparkled. After hearing this, Chu Yin responded indifferently, with a hint of shock in her eyes. She had never expected that the woman who had not even made it onto the heavenly ranking at that time would become famous all over the world overnight. It seems that the couple is really a good match. Thinking of this, Chu Yin smiled bitterly. She really underestimated the other party and thought that the other party was at most on par with her. Now it seems that the woman can defeat her. However, this also indirectly proved that his previous vision was still very good, and he gave away the immortal treasure quota early. But in fact, regardless of whether the other party is given a place in the immortal treasure or not, the other party can come. The reason is simple. There are unknown rules in the immortal treasure, that is, the recognition of the luck of this world. If you are favored by this world and blessed by the way of heaven, if the immortal treasure is opened, you will naturally be teleported over. This is why there are always so many dark horses in the past. Chu Yin shook her head, stopped thinking about it, and continued practicing. Howren Pavilion. I never thought that this Ice Phoenix Goddess who suddenly appeared will be the Taoist partner of a person with double pupils. There is such a relationship between these two people. It's interesting. After receiving the information, Elder Xiong couldn't help but sigh, his eyes flickering, as if he had thought of something, and added, "It seems that we have to rely on the thigh of the person with double pupils." Yu Russian was also full of surprise. He didn't expect that the woman who followed the man with double pupils that day could be so strong. Thinking of this, he couldn't help swallowing. This kid is a monster, and the people around him are also monsters. This is too outrageous. Palace of the Sun God. In the hall, there was an old man wearing a nine-sun Taoist robe. He had a deep aura and a deep gaze, and his whole body exuded a terrifying aura. This person is the palace master of the Sun God Palace, Fundao. It seems that my Sun Palace has not been in the world for a long time, so some people in the world have forgotten the pain. Fundao looked at the rune in his hand and said quietly, and then the rune actually burned out. After these words were spoken, the elders kneeling below did not dare to speak. If it weren't for the imminent birth of the Holy Sun, I would have also wanted to go to Dongzhou to see what kind of capabilities the Tianyuan Mansion has that dared to repeatedly confront my Sun God Palace. Fundao said in a cold voice, and a fierce aura burst out from his body, as if the whole sky was about to burn. At this moment, he no longer had the fear he had before, because he had already found out the power behind the person with double pupils during this period of time. He had investigated the ghost-faced woman who had attacked after leaving the Nine Heavens secret realm that day. He had found no such person in the entire Xiantian realm. It was probably a trap set by the man with double pupils. As for the so-called Tianyuan Mansion, it is said that it has established its own divine dynasty. Even if it has the strength, it has no foundation, and it is difficult to compete with top families like them. When the Holy Sun is born in the future, I must pay them a visit to see what kind of people they are. Hearing that the Son of God was about to be born, everyone began to get agitated, their eyes burning with excitement. This is not the true teaching of other geniuses in the Sun God Palace, but the most top-level monster in the Xiantian realm. an ancient monster resurrected. It is said that this boy had a noble status and extraordinary bloodline in ancient times. If the Holy Land had not encountered a disaster, he would not have been sealed away. But now, he is finally going to be born and finally wake up. By then, the Holy Sun will be born, and no genius in the world will dare to fight him. They will surely rise under the leadership of the Holy Sun. The first step at that time was naturally to deal with this person with double pupils and the forces behind him. Qianlong Immortal Dynasty, a top force located deep in the northern Shenzhou, which can be named as the Immortal Dynasty, is one of the few in the entire Xintian realm. Of course, its strength should not be underestimated. A day or two had passed since the day when the man with double pupils killed Prince Ao Long, and the news had finally reached here. The palace was packed with people, and all the officials were kneeling. Obviously, they were in the middle of their court session. On the dragon throne, there was a middle-aged man in a dragon robe. The pressure he exuded was so astonishing that even the void could not bear it. Below, these generals had powerful auras and eyes as cold as lightning. In the outside world, there were also top-notch masters. Each of them had reached the level of God King, which was very terrifying. Those geniuses standing in the front, with immortal light shining all over them, are the princes and princesses of Qianlong Immortal Dynasty. They look young, but their cultivation is amazing. They have reached the level of God King at a young age. If they were placed in the outside world, they would at least be at the top of the heavenly ranking. If the outside world knew about this, they would probably be shocked speechless. At this moment, during the court session, a panicked voice was heard. Report. It's bad. Prince Aolong has been killed. Chapter 141. The Fury of Qianlong Dynasty, Theory of Governance. Outside the gate, a general said tremblingly. As soon as these words were spoken, they caused a sensation among the crowd. Prince Aolong was killed? How could he be killed? Everyone's eyes were filled with shock, and they thought in disbelief in their hearts. The majestic figure on the dragon throne had a flash of shock in his eyes after hearing this, but he quickly suppressed it and said calmly, "Didn't he go to Chuzhan to fight the one with double pupils? Did he get attacked on the way?" When he said this, a cold light flashed on his face. How bold! Someone actually ambushed him, the prince of the Immortal Dynasty. As for him being killed by the one with double pupils, this is absolutely impossible. Not to mention that the one with double pupils didn't even dare to fight. Not to mention that Prince Ao Long was accompanied by a quasi-saint this time. Even if he couldn't win, he could still escape. Therefore, he subconsciously thought that someone was targeting the genius of their immortal dynasty. Your Majesty, he wasn't attacked by anyone. The crown prince was killed by someone with double pupils. The general hesitated for a moment and said through gritted teeth. In an instant, countless incredulous glances were cast. How dare you? Tell me what's going on. Where's Wingdox? How could he kill a quasi-saint who was following him? The Qianlong king was furious, and a terrifying aura burst out from him. After hearing this, the general swallowed his saliva secretly and then slowly explained. At that time, the prince was fighting with the one with double pupils on the top of Chu Family Mountain. After he finished speaking, the entire hall fell into silence. All the civil and military officials looked shocked, as if they had heard something incredible. Prince Aolong has achieved the ultimate holy body, but he is still no match for the one with double pupils. What kind of monster is that? You must know that Prince Ao Long is the most powerful genius in their immortal dynasty, except for the eldest prince. Normally, Prince Ao Long can defeat several evil princes without using his full strength, not to mention that he has achieved the perfection of the holy body. At this moment, not only the officials but also the princes and princesses turned pale after hearing this. So there's a saint behind him. No wonder this person with double pupils is so arrogant. Qianlong Wang showed a look of realization, and then said in a cold tone, "We can't just let this go." Someone in the crowd said angrily. Qianlong Wang did not deny it. His eyes were filled with anger, and he said in a deep voice, "It seems that our Qianlong Immortal Dynasty has not been in the world for a long time, so these ungrateful people have forgotten the pain. All right, this person with double pupils is really brave. I want to see if his backside can withstand our wrath. After this immortal hiding is over, we will raise our army and crush the forces behind those with double pupils." After hearing this, everyone's pupils shrank slightly, and they said respectfully in unison, "Yes." Tianyuan Divine Dynasty. Report. The Dacian dynasty's million-strong army was defeated. The Tianyuan army won a complete victory. Report. 15 cities of the Dacian dynasty have been annihilated. Report. King Dacian is still resisting and still refuses to sign the surrender document. Excited voices rang out from the palace. After hearing this, the old faces of these ministers were filled with excitement, and they looked at the person on the dragon throne with fiery eyes. Nangong Chen was wearing a dragon robe and was lying on a chair with his legs crossed, holding an ancient book in his hand. It was hard to tell that he was an emperor. After hearing these voices, he remained calm, yawned, and said, "Aren't you going to surrender yet? Then let Nangong Chen continue to fight until they surrender." After finishing speaking, Nangong Chen ignored the others and continued to look at the ancient book in his hand. On the cover of the ancient book were written a few large words: "How to govern a country from scratch." Of course, there are not just one book around him, but many of them scattered on the ground. For example, how to handle the relationship between the emperor and his ministers for the first time as an emperor and on governing a country. It can be seen that Nangong Chen is thinking about how to be a good country. Yes. After hearing this, the Tianyuan army general responded respectfully and then disappeared. After hearing this, the eyes of all the civil and military officials below lit up, and they could not stop expressing their admiration for Nangong Chen. "You know, since the war began, your majesty has basically never lost. He's so fierce that he reached the enemy's lair in just over 10 days. This is a height that the cowardly king of Zhou could never reach in his lifetime." Nangong Chen ignored him and just put down the ancient book with some boredom, looking at the mountains and rivers in the distance with a gloomy look. "I don't know how that guy's doing now. He left a mess to me and went away to enjoy himself. You are really something. I just don't know. After defeating Dakian, who should we attack?" Nangong Zhan's eyes showed a trace of confusion, and then his eyes flashed, as if he had thought of something. "Oh, by the way, there seem to be 2 more dynasties in eastern Shenzhou. Let's fight them together." Thinking of this, a smile appeared on Nangong Zhan's resolute face. "If that brat comes back and knows the empire I fought for him, he will probably be very touched." It turned out that since the establishment of the Tianyuan Divine Dynasty, Nangong Chen felt a little bored. So on the second day after Nangong Chen left, he unilaterally launched a war against the neighboring Dakian. You heard it right. It is one-sided, and the other party is the one being beaten. When the news came out, tens of millions of Tianyuan citizens agreed, even applauding. Countless Tianyuan men volunteered to join the war, bringing the total number of troops to a staggering 10 million. And this number was still rising like crazy. You know, in this Xintian realm, if there is such an army of tens of millions, it would be very terrifying. Even other dynasties only have a few million at most, and even some so-called immortal dynasties do not have so many. Moreover, these soldiers cannot be appointed just because they want to. They have to go through layers of selection. Those selected are the elite among the elite. As for why so many people join the army, it could be attributed to Nangong Chen. After the imperial dragon vein awakened, Nangong Chen discussed it with all the officials and put forward his own opinions. For example, everyone in Tianyuan can practice cultivation, and the skills are not monopolized by a certain class. The enrollment of academies is expanded, and grades are established in academies, and education is differentiated, etc. When Nangong Chen said this, some people were frightened. Some people strongly agreed, such as Wei Zhong and others. Of course, there were also people who opposed it, believing that after these civilians were able to practice, they would cause chaos in society. As soon as these words were spoken, Nangong Chen immediately locked up those who opposed him in jail. He was very domineering, but there were not many of them, only 2 or 3, and they were all old, stubborn people. The rest of the people gradually perfected these rules. Now, when the Tianyuan law came out, the entire Tianyuan was in an uproar. Chapter 142 Changes in the Tianyuan Divine Dynasty. Martial arts techniques were distributed to all people to practice. Enrollment in academies was expanded to allow ordinary people to enter, and even some so-called aristocratic privileges were abolished. These rules are like thunder, landing in everyone's heart and causing thousands of waves. They simply couldn't imagine that this was a law passed down by a divine dynasty. Originally, these common people had been showered by the spiritual rain, and their talents had been improved. They had always yearned for cultivation, and all they needed was a book of exercises to embark on the path of cultivation. Now, they were further fueled to the fire, allowing everyone to practice cultivation. On that day, the trend of everyone practicing martial arts reached its peak, and soon everyone learned that all of this was proposed by Nangong Chen. After knowing this, many people's eyes were filled with tears, and their gratitude to Nangong Chen reached the extreme. To these common people, the young master was simply their god, who led them to break through classes and gain dignity. And they loved and felt closer to the entire Tianyuan Divine Dynasty, this newly established Divine Dynasty, more and more. They cast aside their previous identities as citizens of the Great Zhou, and for the rest of their lives, they were all citizens of Tianyuan. This is why there was a wave of people joining the army. First, it was because of the people's love and the desire to protect Tianyuan and fight for Tianyuan from the bottom of their hearts. Second, the rewards for joining the army would be very generous. unlike the stingy Great Zhou. Thinking of this, Wei Zhong felt a little emotional. He stood with his hands behind his back, looking at the prosperous scene in front of him, and his eyes couldn't help but become moist. Isn't this what he pursued all his life? Uncle, aren't you tired of being here alone? Outside the palace, a little girl saw Wei Zhong motionless, blinked her big eyes, and whispered. Wei Zhong was stunned. Obviously, she mistook Wei Zhong for a soldier, and then she rummaged through her pockets, as if looking for something. Soon, she found a piece of candy with wrinkled sugar coating and carefully handed it to Wei Zhong on the floor with an innocent smile. Mom and Dad said that soldiers are here to protect us, so we should respect them. I'll give the last piece of candy to him. I'm going home first. Otherwise, if I don't go home after school, the teacher at the academy will scold me again tomorrow. Not far away, her parents were waving to her. When the girl saw it, she looked very happy and jumped over. Seeing this, Wei Zhong smiled, picked up the candy, but did not eat it. He held it tightly in his hand like a treasure. I'm old, but this world will eventually belong to you young people. He muttered to himself, then turned around and walked leisurely, with the golden evening light stretching out very long. Tianyuan Academy. Dean, there's so many people coming to study today. The academy has already accommodated 30,000 people. If more come, we really won't be able to accommodate them. In a courtyard, a young man spoke hurriedly. His name is Su Liang. He was the student who entered school with Nangong Chen at that time, and now he has become the senior brother of the academy. Alas, young master, you really don't consider us. In the courtyard, Kong Daoyan sighed, wrote the last stroke of the last calligraphy, and then walked out. Soon, the two men arrived at the mountain gate. Outside the mountain gate, there were huge crowds of people and young faces everywhere. When they saw Kong Daoyan and the others, they were very excited and made a lot of noise. I heard that the young master once came to Tianyuan Academy for a period of time. Hey, you guys are here for the young master too? Yes, my father said that if I could get into this academy, I would be the young master's junior apprentice in the future, which would bring honor to our family. When talking about this, these people's faces became hot and they were very excited. Speaking of the young master, those boys and girls showed admiration and longing on their faces. In their hearts, Nangong Chen has become a mythical figure and an idol of the new era. The place where Nangong Chen had been naturally soon became a place that these people yearned for. They believed that this place was extraordinary and transcendent, and was sought after by millions of people all over the world. After hearing these voices, Kong Daoyan had already expected this and said to himself, as expected, this is the 52nd wave of people since Nangong Chen left. Their Tianyuan Academy has also expanded its enrollment from 10,000 to 30,000 today. There are too many people now. I am afraid that even if we recruit all these disciples, there will be no place to accommodate them. Thinking of this, Kong Daoyan felt complicated and didn't know what to do. Of course, having more people also has its advantages. This year's academy has produced quite a few geniuses. Moreover, the disciples in the academy are practicing with all their might. After all, they have a senior brother like Nangong Chen who is famous all over the world. Soon, an idea flashed through Kong Daoyan's mind. If other academies can establish branches, then our Tianyuan Academy can also build a few more branches. Su Liang, tell them that the academy is full. After today, we will no longer accept any students. We are preparing to expand the branch academy. I need to leave now to attend court. Kong Daoyan said excitedly, and disappeared from the spot after saying a few words. After hearing this, Su Liang was furious and asked himself to clean up the mess. Suddenly, he thought of something, expand the branch? How come he didn't think of such a brilliant idea? But I heard that the one who proposed the branch was... Thinking of this, Su Liang couldn't help but reminisce. Qing family. Ichu. Suddenly, Nangong Chen sneezed, with some confusion in his eyes. No, could he catch a cold too? Is someone talking about me? Nangong Chen couldn't help but think of the Tianyuan divine dynasty, his eyes flashing. I don't know how they're doing. My dad should be reliable. There's nothing I can do if it is unreliable. After all, I am not there. Nangong Chen stopped thinking about it, came to his senses, put away the rune in his hand, and then fell into deep thought. He had a general understanding of the rules of this immortal hiding. There are a total of 200 people participating in the 10 domains, which means that each domain sends an average of 20 geniuses. Moreover, these geniuses are all the most talented in the region. In other words, this immortal hiding place is far more dangerous and difficult than the 9 Heaven Secret Realm. The CCP of Xianzong is divided into 2 levels. The first level is to kill a monster called Yi. It is said that this monster is more difficult to deal with than ordinary ones. The more you kill, the higher your ranking will be. The top 25 will advance to the next level. Of course, although it is an individual promotion, Geniuses from other domains often unite to ensure that those monsters advance. In other words, the first level is a competition of the strength of each domain. The stronger the hard power of a domain, the easier it is to advance. Thinking of this, Nangong Chen couldn't help but feel a little dazed. It seems that there will be a group fight once we go in. Chapter 143, Sword Embryo Fragments, Extraordinary Harvest. Knock knock. Just then, there was a knock on the door. After Nangong Chen sensed this person's breath, his expression changed slightly. "It's Uncle Chi? Enter," Nangong Chen said calmly, his eyes flashing with curiosity. Soon, a gray figure walked in. He restrained his aura, and his eyes shone with a faint divine light. It was obvious that his cultivation was unfathomable, and he was an expert among experts. It was Tianyuan without a doubt. This old servant greets the young master. Tianyuan bowed slightly and said respectfully, "Uncle Chi, you don't need to bow to me." Nangong Chen shook his head and then looked at him. What happened? He is not a fool. Tianyuan rarely looks for him on weekdays, unless it is something important. Young master, today, after hearing this, Tianyuan smiled and then explained slowly. After a few breaths, Nangong Chen's eyes suddenly understood. So that's what it was. So, if you hadn't hidden in the void today, Su Li would have been injured by these elders of the Sun God Palace. Nangong Chen said in a cold voice, a murderous look flashing in his eyes. This Sun God Palace is really tired of living and even dares to attack Su Li. It seems that now that this immortal hiding is over, it's time to settle the grudges of the Sun God Palace. The main reason is that the young mistress made such a big noise today that it was hard not to pay attention. But fortunately, the young mistress is intact and not injured at all. Tianyuan smiled and gave him a reassuring look. No matter what, I have to thank Uncle Chi for his help today, otherwise there might have been an accident today. Nangong Chen said sincerely and bowed to him. Ha ha, this is my job. Young master, there's no need to be like this. Even if I don't take action today, your mother is blessed with a long life and is not an ordinary person. Tianyuan disagreed and said in a profound tone, with a gleam in his eyes. Then he bowed and said, in that case, I will go back and not disturb the young master's rest. Nangong Chen nodded slightly. After seeing this, Tianyuan's figure quickly disappeared from the spot without leaving any trace. Nangong Chen saw his disappearing figure and pondered deeply. After a long time, a smile flashed in his eyes. She passed several people and challenged Yi Guqing directly, probably because of what happened last time. However, such rapid progress was beyond his expectations. She was indeed the destined heroine, even stronger than some cheaters. Thinking of this, Nangong Chen felt a little emotional, and a beautiful figure emerged in his mind. To be honest, I haven't seen her for a long time, and I really miss her. But we will meet in 2 days, so there's no rush. Let's sort out what happened recently. Dean Gunnan asked me to find his daughter. After the establishment of the Tianyuan Divine Dynasty, he has increased the manpower and expanded the search range to the entire Xintian realm. After the Immortal Hidden is completed, I guess there will be information about her. The woman with the ghost face who appeared that day has never been seen again since that day. Nangong Chen doesn't know whether she has left or continues to guard in secret. In fact, the biggest puzzle in his mind was why the ghost-faced woman was in the underworld that day, or whether the ghost-faced woman had always been in the underworld. What is certain is that she is definitely from the 9 heavens of the upper realm, and most likely from his mother's side, because the blood relationship that day was indeed close. Could it be his mother? Suddenly, Nangong Chen thought of this possibility, but then he shook his head to deny it. That shouldn't be possible. If it was his mother, why didn't she recognize him? And that voice sounded very young. Excluding these, there's only one possibility, that is, he was sent by his mother to protect him. But isn't there a limit to the underworld? How could someone sneak in? Could it be that his mother has an unusual background? All these doubts can be traced back to what the ghost-faced woman said that day. I have to become stronger in order to break through the shackles of Xintian realm and go to the 9 heavens in the upper realm to find the answer. Thinking of this, Nangong Chen's eyes became clear. He stopped thinking about it and left the room. After staying here for so long, it's time to go out and get some fresh air. Why haven't you come out yet, young master? If the immortal hiding begins in 2 days, there will be no chance to give this to you. Inside the compound, Qingyu held the jade pendant in his hand and spoke gloomily. I'm not too sure. Maybe he's practicing. After all, a freak like him must be practicing very hard and putting an effort that ordinary people can't match. After hearing this, Qing Fan spoke thoughtfully. Yes, young master is so capable. He must have made a lot of efforts behind the scenes. Qingyu's beautiful eyes lit up, and she agreed. Perhaps the young master is still in the midst of cultivation, cultivating to the point of forgetting to eat and sleep. I don't think he will be able to come out in the short term. Qing Fan shook his head, spread out his hands, and looked somewhat helpless. As expected, the young master is so powerful The efforts behind it must be very tiring. Qingyu agreed, a hint of heartache flashing in his eyes. An image of a diligent practitioner suddenly emerged in the minds of the two. At the corner, Nangong Chen heard these two voices, and his mouth twitched, and he stopped. Was he really that diligent in his cultivation? Even if others didn't know, didn't he understand himself? Cultivation was completely based on his mood. His talent was there anyway, so he didn't need to work hard. Of course, saying this might sound a bit Versailles, but at this moment, another difficult problem appeared in Nangong Chen's mind. If I go out now, it won't damage my image. Forget it, never mind. He hesitated for a moment, then walked out. Nangong Chen has appeared, and the two men were surprised when they saw him, as if they had seen a ghost. Sir, are you out of seclusion? Qingyu was a little dazed. Nangong Chen nodded lightly, emitting an aura that was even stronger than before. After Qingyu and Qing Fan felt it, they looked at each other and saw shock in each other's eyes. What kind of monster is this? His progress is so fast, it's like drinking water. Seeing this, Nangong Chen curled up the corners of his mouth into a slight smile. This aura is not something he fakes, it is his true self, but others just don't know his true strength. By the way, sir, I have something to give you. At this moment, Qingyu suddenly spoke and took out the sword-shaped jade pendant in his hand. Nangong Chen was a little confused, but after feeling the aura of the jade pendant, his pupils couldn't help but shrink. He suppressed his composure and asked, "Where did you get this?" Chapter 144, Qi in the Legs, Lightning Treatment. Qingyu was a little stunned when he heard it, and explained, "This item is a family heirloom of my Qing family. It must have come from somewhere, but it belongs to our Qing family." After hearing this, Nangong Chen fell into deep thought. "Young master, what's wrong?" Qingyu seemed to realize something and asked softly. Qing Fan on the side also looked at Nangong Chen with curiosity. Nangong Chen stared at the jade pendant, and after confirming it again and again, he looked into Qingyu's eyes, as if he had thought of something, and asked, "When Prince Ao Long came to you, did he ask you to hand over anything?" When Qingyu heard this, his face was stunned, and he kept recalling things in his mind. After a while, she whispered, "I remember now. When Prince Ao Long came, he seemed to be trying to get something from us, but my parents told us not to hand it over." Qing Fan looked puzzled at first, but then his eyes gradually brightened. Could it be? If that's the case, then it makes sense. Prince Ao Long didn't come for you, but for this jade pendant. Under the gaze of the two, Nangong Chen said something shocking. After hearing this, Qingyu and Qing Fan were shocked and could hardly believe it. Qingyu always thought that Prince Ao Long wiped out their entire family because of her, but now Nangong Chen told her that it was not her fault. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but feel relieved, and her eyes became moist. "I see," she murmured. Qing Fan looked at Nangong Chen and asked in confusion, "Sir, is there something special about this jade pendant? Why does Prince Ao Long want this thing?" This is one of the 9 legendary sword fragments, the key to unlocking the ancient battlefield. Nangong Chen did not hide it from them and spoke. Sure enough, after hearing this, the two of them were shocked and stood there in a daze. The 9 pieces of sword embryo fragments were a rumor from a long time ago. Only a few people in the Xintian realm knew about it, and they happened to be one of those people who knew about it. This turned out to be one of the 9 sword embryo fragments. The two of them looked at the sword-shaped jade pendant and couldn't help but show a look of realization. They now understand why Prince Ao Long wanted this thing at that time. If this were placed in the outside world or on someone like that, it would be worth a fortune. So, do you still want to give it to me? Nangong Chen picked up the jade pendant and smiled faintly. After hearing this, Qingyu nodded decisively without hesitation. "Sir, you've helped us so much. I'm giving this to you without regrets." Qing Fan standing beside him was the same, with a determined look in his eyes. Nangong Chen's eyes flickered. He had not expected such an answer, and showed a hint of appreciation. "Okay, this thing happens to be useful to me. In that case, I will accept it." He did not refuse, and put the sword embryo fragment back into the storage space. Looking at the 5 pieces of sword embryo fragments, Nangong Chen couldn't help but fall into deep thought. "So, we only need 4 fragments to restore the Daluo sword embryo? I didn't expect that there would be such a surprise when I came to Chu City this time. I got a piece of fragment from nowhere." Nangong Chen came back to his senses and looked at the two of them. "I can't take your things for nothing. Tell me, do you have any wishes?" He gave a gentle smile and looked at the two of them with an even friendlier gaze. "A wish?" Qingyu was stunned, and then seemed to think of something. He glanced at Qing Fan's legs and said, "Sir, if possible, I want to heal my brother's leg injury." "Sister." After hearing this, Qing Fan felt a little moved, and his eyes were sparkling. Nangong Chen nodded thoughtfully. "Anything else?" Qingyu shook her head. She had nothing else to hope for. Her only wish was to see Qing Fan's legs recover and return to being the smiling boy he used to be. And you? Nangong Chen looked at Qing Fan, who was somewhat moved, and spoke in a gentle tone. Qing Fan was stunned. He didn't expect that he could also make a wish. Thinking of this, he thought for a while, shook his head, and refused. I want to restore my talent, but it's totally unrealistic, so forget it. Thank you for your kindness, sir. After hearing this, Nangong Chen's eyes turned into double pupils, emitting a blazing light, as if he could see the origin of all things in the world. When the two saw those eyes, their hearts couldn't help but tremble. Qing Fan broke out in a cold sweat, feeling as if his whole body had been seen through by this gaze. After a while, Nangong Chen seemed to have discovered something. His face showed sudden realization, and then he retracted his double pupils. So that's how it is. No wonder Qing Fan's leg injury can't be cured. There's a domineering aura hidden in it. No matter how he recovers, it will be swallowed up by this aura. Moreover, this strong energy is still corroding the tendons and bones of the legs. Of course, this was hidden deep inside. If it weren't for his extraordinary double pupils, no one would be able to find the cause of the disease. In the eyes of ordinary doctors, this was indeed a case of no disease. After seeing this, Qingyu couldn't help but feel relieved. Judging from the young master's expression, he must have realized something. Qing Fan also held the same thought. His eyes were filled with passion. Of course, he had a decision in mind. If he couldn't even find any problems with the young master's double pupils this time, he would completely give up in the future. He didn't want Qingyu to be so tired because of him. Nangong Chen briefly explained Qing Fan's situation. After hearing this, Qingyu couldn't help but widen her beautiful eyes. Gang Qi. Yes, it is the Gang Qi. This Gang Qi is very hidden and very overbearing. It can destroy any healing effect. Nangong Chen said softly, a hint of pity flashing in his eyes. As long as this energy exists in the human body, the pain it causes is unbearable for ordinary people. It is like a bone scraper that keeps rotating. He glanced at Qing Fan and saw that he looked calm, and he felt a little impressed. This person has an extraordinary character. He is a talented person. Then, sir, do you have any solution? Qingyu asked nervously. Yes, there is, but should be a bit sour. Nangong Chen hesitated for a moment and then spoke. If this domineering aura is used with ordinary means, it will cause it to spread and eventually turn into a sharp blade that pierces through. The only way to disintegrate and destroy it inside the body is to use other methods. After hearing this, Qing Fan didn't take it seriously. Master, I'm not afraid. You can use any method as long as you can cure these legs. His eyes were firm, like two blazing flames. He could even endure the pain of this, so would he be afraid of anything else? Good boy, I knew I was right. If you can endure it, you will get an opportunity. Nangong Chen looked deep in his eyes and spoke slowly. I started. The next moment, Nangong Chen pinched his magic trick in his hand, and a mysterious aura burst out. The void was instantly covered with thunderclouds, as if the god of thunder had descended to the earth. That's right. What he wanted to do was to inject the lightning formed by the Thunder Emperor's magic into his body to dissolve his internal energy. Of course, he would control the lightning within the range that Qing Fan's body could accept. Use strength to defeat strength, and see who is more domineering. When Qing Fan saw this scene, he couldn't help but swallow his saliva and had a bad feeling in his heart. I am not going to be struck by lightning. Boom. The next moment, thousands of lightning bolts burst out and rushed towards him from the sky. Qing Fan was stunned, his eyes reflecting endless lightning. Chapter 145 Secret Meeting, Seed Voting. The Chu family's ancestral land. At this moment, the protectors of various forces are holding a secret meeting here. It is truly an honor for the Chu family to have you all here today. Under the dim light, Chu Shana sat in the first seat and said with a smile. When the others heard this, they all nodded in agreement without any further formalities. Because this meeting has been going on for tens of millions of years, it is held almost every time before the immortal hidden ceremony. The only difference is that there are a few new faces this year. Chu Shanha looked at a man in black wearing a cloak, his eyes flickering, wondering what he was thinking. I don't know what faction you belong to, sir. Why do you look unfamiliar? Chu Shanha pondered for a while and then spoke. An elder of the Zhang family also noticed this, snorted coldly, and said, What a scoundrel! Could it be that you have done something shameful and dare not show your true face to others? Among all those present, only this man in black dared not show his face. When the others saw this, they also looked away with amusement in their eyes. Under the black cloak, the man's expression was somewhat complicated and a hint of scarlet flashed in his eyes. After a moment of silence, he slowly pulled down the cloak, and everyone was able to see his true face. After seeing this face, everyone's pupils shrank slightly, as if they had seen something incredible. Are you in Shaosheng? A beautiful woman in brightly colored clothes said in surprise. There was an extremely obvious scar on the face of the man in black clothes. The man looked old, like he was in his 40s or 50s. It's me. After hearing this, Wen Xiaosheng nodded without hesitation. When others saw this, their expressions were complicated, some were shocked, and some were puzzled. Nothing happened to the Wen family. Someone asked, looking straight at Wen Xiaosheng. You know, there are rumors that the entire city of Tianqi was massacred in the past month. Tianqi City contains 4 hidden families, and the Wen family is one of them. Of course, the so-called rumor was just that someone saw the Tianqi being blocked, and people from other forces nearby felt a surge of blood energy. But no one went in to investigate. However, as time passed, everyone gradually believed that Tianqi City had been destroyed. A flash of blood red flashed in Wen Xiaosheng's eyes, but it was well hidden. He asked doubtfully, "Something happened? Where did you hear about it?" After hearing this, the man was a little confused, but he didn't say much. After this was said, everyone started to speak out one after another, telling the rumors that had been circulating a while ago. Tianqi City was massacred? How audacious. Who made up this rumor? If I catch him, I'll make him pay. Wen Xiaosheng flew into a rage upon hearing this. He gritted his teeth and slammed his hand on the table. Tianqi City is ruled by 4 hidden families. Who in the entire Xinjiang territory has the power to massacre the city? You are ridiculous for believing such rumors. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone's eyes flickered, and they were obviously considering the truth of them. After a while, the beautiful woman laughed wryly. Don't be angry, fellow Taoist one. This is just a lie to confuse the people. We have been deceived by it. Her name is Ningong, and she is the protector sent by the Holy Land of Astronomy, which is also the Holy Land where Ximeng was previously. Although the Astronomy Holy Land is weaker in hard power than some martial arts Holy Lands, its foundation is extraordinary and cannot be provoked by other forces. After Ningong spoke, others also began to explain with smiles on their faces. After all, the families of Tianqi City are among the top in the entire Xinjiang domain and cannot be provoked casually. They also didn't want to make enemies with him and provoke a powerful enemy for nothing. When Wen Xiaosheng heard this, a hint of disdain flashed across his eyes, but he hid it well. He waved his hand, his beard twitched, his eyes widened, and he seemed to be still a little unsatisfied. After a long time, he waved his hand. Forget it. If it weren't for my magnanimity, if it were the other 3 families, you would have been in a difficult situation today. Seeing this, the others also breathed a sigh of relief, and the suspicion in their eyes completely disappeared. They had met Wen Xiaosheng several times before, and his personality had not changed at all. Well, now that we have clarified everything, let's start today's meeting. Chu Shanhe, who was sitting in the first seat, nodded, glanced around, and said calmly, "As usual, this time, the Immortal Treasure will send 20 people in, with a total of 10 forces participating. Chu family, Howren Pavilion, Astronomy Holy Land, Jiang family." Chu Shanhe called out their names one by one and set his eyes on them. Everyone was very calm about this. After all, it was just a procedure. After Chu Shanhe finished calling the names, he held a rune in his hand, his eyes deep, and said, "Everyone should be familiar with the rules of the Immortal Hidden Realm, so I'll keep it short. According to the last list, my Xinjiang territory sent out 20 geniuses, but only 3 advanced to the next round. In other words, this time the Immortal Treasure will be the same as before. Each family will join forces to select 3 seeds and send them into the second round of the trial. What do you think about this year's seeds?" As soon as the words fell, everyone seemed to have expected it and spoke up. In the past, the Jiang family always had 2 seeds. This year, our Qilin sect will also do the same with 1 seed quota. My Jiang family was chosen by everyone. What are you saying? If you are good enough, you can choose it too. I also need a seed quota in Dahuang Mountain. I think our prince is fully qualified. These old men were red in the face and refused to give in at all. Some even started cursing. In an instant, the whole conference room became as noisy as a vegetable market. This kind of opportunity is rare. If they can enter the trial, the significance it represents is extraordinary, so they naturally have to fight for it. Chu Shanhe was very calm when he saw this, as he had already expected this situation. However, he did not stop it, because their Chu family had already decided on a seed spot, which was agreed upon long ago, so he was naturally not worried. After a while, the sounds gradually subsided. At this moment, these old men over the age of 60 all felt dry lips and tongues. Ahem. When Chu Shanhe saw this scene, he knew that the time had come. Since everyone has their own candidates in mind, we can only vote. Let me make it clear, you can only vote for 2 candidates. The other one has already been reserved by my daughter. Then, several maids came and handed out a ticket to each person. After these people got it, they all snorted coldly, but didn't say much. After all, it has always been a consensus that the Chu family will get seed quota. If anyone disagrees, The Chu family will kick them out and will never be allowed to participate in the immortal collection again. However, the feeling of working for others also makes them very unhappy. Soon, people from all forces cast their votes. Chapter 146 Qing fan breaks through. Li Qixin, 7 votes. Jiang Yingwe, 4 votes. When this result came out, everyone seemed to have expected it and didn't say much. In other words, there are 11 people voting here, and except for the 2 leaders, the other 18 geniuses have no votes. And below, a burly old man showed a hint of guilt after seeing this. This man was the representative of Howren Pavilion, Elder Xiong. He originally wanted to vote for the one with double pupils, but he was afraid that the relationship between the two would be exposed. The one named Li Qixin is naturally the number 1 on the current heavenly ranking. He is an extraordinary monster and is respected by the world as the overlord. Jiang Yingwe, on the other hand, was an old acquaintance, the moon god who ranked 2nd on the heavenly ranking. Chu Shana nodded secretly. You guys are smart. The immortal treasure is not something to be joked about. If you vote for some monsters as seeds, you will be eliminated early in the 2nd round. It will be funny then. Not only will you be laughed at by your own people, but you will also lose face in the 10 realms. Of course, something similar has happened before. A 2nd-generation person was voted in, but was directly eliminated in the 2nd round. In front of those monsters from other domains, he was not even good enough. He was even severely humiliated by other domains. After the 2nd generation came back, he was spurned by all the forces in the world, and even his family was despised. Within 100 years, the family declined. Congratulations! The Li family has another seed quota this year. Someone laughed and spoke to an old man in a gray robe sitting in the middle. A hint of fear flashed in the eyes of the others, but they all stood up and started to congratulate him like the man just now. The old man in gray robe had an immortal air and a deep aura. His eyes contained stars and were very mysterious. It was obvious that he was a saint. After hearing this, Li Songhai simply glanced at them and said, "My son from the Li family is incredibly talented. This is what he deserves. Even if you don't vote for him, he will still be able to enter the trial." After these words were spoken, some people became furious. Isn't this a naked mockery of them? Aren't your descendants any good enough? The Overlord is indeed amazing, but I wonder who is better, this invincible form or the one with double pupils. Just then, a light voice came from the corner. Beneath the black cloak, Wen Shaosheng revealed a wicked smile. As soon as these words were spoken and the 3 words, person with double pupils, were heard, everyone's faces changed, as if they had heard some taboo. There are 2 reasons why the recently famous person with double pupils and the Ice Phoenix goddess who has caused a sensation in the world were not mentioned in this meeting. One reason is that the man with double pupils had previously killed Prince Ao Long and made enemies with the Venerable in the upper realm. If they were to be linked to each other, he would definitely be held accountable when the Venerable came to the lower realm in half a year. The second reason is that most of those present here are from Central China. They have a sense of superiority in their hearts and believe that people with double pupils should not tarnish this seed quota. Therefore, they had already agreed in secret that this time, when they hid the immortals, they would isolate these 2 people. The entire small room fell into silence. But soon, someone broke the silence. What's a person with double pupils? In terms of talent, Overlord is definitely superior. That's right, Overlord is number 1 on the heavenly ranking. How dare a young brat from Dongzhou challenge Overlord's position? If those with double pupils are sensible, they should obediently escort the Overlord and the Moon Goddess into the immortal vault this time. These people sneered and looked at Li Songhai with an attitude of trying to please him. You know, if you can have some connection with the Li family because of these few words, you will make a lot of money. But some people remained silent, such as the leader Chu Shanhe and Elder Xiong. Those with double pupils are very powerful. I will let the 7 gods take notice of this immortal hiding. However, if he only has the strength of the Chu family on the mountaintop that day, then he will not pose a threat to the 7 gods. At this moment, Li Songhai spoke, his eyes showing seriousness. Then, without paying any attention to anyone else, he disappeared from the spot. After hearing this voice, everyone's pupils shrank slightly, and some of them couldn't believe it. No! Looking at the divine thunders rushing towards him in the sky, Qing Fan shouted. Qing Yu on the side also looked worried and a little confused, but when he thought of Nangong Chen being here, he didn't say anything. Boom! A divine thunderbolt struck Qing Fan accurately, and in an instant, his body was charred. At the same time, a ray of blue essence in the lightning entered Qing Fan's body. Nangong Chen nodded upon seeing this. It seems this method is still somewhat useful. Soon, those divine thunders came one after another. Under Nangong Chen's control, they perfectly avoided all buildings and struck Qing Fan head-on. Qing Fan gritted his teeth, enduring the numbness and pain in his body without crying out. After a while, he actually felt several streams of blue gas wandering in his body, from his heart to his limbs. Suddenly, a voice rang out. Nangong Chen and Qing Yu looked over and saw that Qing Fan didn't know whether he was in pain or comfort. He actually closed his eyes and shouted with his whole body tense. Qing Fan. When Qing Yu saw this, he said with a worried look on his face. Nangong Chen's eyes flickered, revealing a hint of doubt. That's not right. Is there something wrong with my method? It's so comfortable. The next moment, Qing Fan, who had originally had a tense expression, suddenly relaxed, showing an expression of enjoyment, and sighed. After seeing this, the two of them were both very upset. What's your ghost yelling? Qing Fan seemed to realize that his cry was a bit embarrassing. He suddenly opened his eyes and was about to explain, but he felt a tingling sensation in his body again. Awesome! He couldn't help but shout out. When Qing Yu saw this, his face darkened and he clenched his fists. Nangong Chen smiled and said nothing more. He raised his hand and several divine thunders descended from the void. In this hazy consciousness, Qing Fan felt that his body was being cleansed, which was very comfortable. Even the qi in his legs was dissolved. After a while, the dark clouds dissipated, and Qing Fan's tightly closed eyes suddenly opened, with lightning flickering in them. At the same time, the aura on his body continued to surge, bursting out like bamboo shoots after rain. Tempering the body. Practice qi. Build the foundation. Spiritual sea. Purple Palace. Just like that, Qing Fan's aura soared all the way until he reached the late stage of Purple Mansion. Qing Yu on the side widened her beautiful eyes and covered her mouth, as if she had seen a miracle. Chapter 147, Manshuhan Banquet. Qing Fan felt the changes in his body and stood up, his eyes full of disbelief. Suddenly, he seemed to sense something and looked at his legs. They were standing straight and tall like green pines. Can you stand on your own? He muttered to himself absent-mindedly, unable to suppress the excitement in his heart. When Qing Yu saw this scene, her eyes turned red and her beautiful eyes shone brightly. Boom! The next moment, Qing Fan suddenly bent his legs, knelt on the ground without hesitation, and kowtowed 10 times to Nangong Chen. Young master killed Prince Ao long for us, and now he has blessed me with good fortune, allowing me to recover my legs and return to my cultivation. This boy will never forget this. From now on, young master is my second relative in the world. If you don't mind, I want to be your sharpest sword in the future. His eyes were red as he spoke gratefully, his voice trembling a little. When Qing Yu saw this scene, he seemed to want to say something, but he held it back and watched silently. Nangong Chen saw this and did not stop him. He watched him kowtow 10 times, then walked forward to help him up and brush the dust off his body. No need to be so grateful to me. I just did what I had to do, Nangong Chen said softly. Looking at his handsome face, he felt a little nostalgic, as if he saw his former self. The sharpest sword? But, seeing this, Qing Fan's eyes dimmed, and he wanted to say something. Okay, I'm tired. It's time to go back and rest. Nangong Chen turned around and waved his hand. Suddenly, he seemed to think of something and paused. Every choice in life is crucial. You have grown up, Qing Fan. You can't just think about yourself. As soon as he finished speaking, Qing Fan felt as if struck by lightning. He suddenly turned around and saw Qing Yu already in tears. Time flies, 2 days have passed quickly, and today is the day to enter the immortal treasure. Early morning, in the courtyard, Nangong Chen lay leisurely on the armchair, and the warm sunlight shining on him was like a layer of golden sand. He had a calm expression and deep eyes, as if he was thinking about something. Is the Xianzong meeting going to be held today? The past 2 days went on as usual. Everything was as before. Qing Yu took good care of his guest and let him relax. The only difference is that there is a hard-working figure in the yard. When Qing Fan held a broadsword in his hand, his eyes were sharp, and his sword intent was astonishing, like an unborn divine sword. The next moment, he chopped down the wooden man in front of him with a knife. Lightning suddenly surged out of the sharp knife, making a crackling sound. Boom! Under the overwhelming force of the knife, the upper body of the wooden man slowly fell down, and the cut surface was neat and flat. It was obvious that the person who wielded the knife had a clean and neat knife technique and a pure heart. Qing Fan, you chopped down another wooden man. At this moment, Qing Yu, who happened to come out of the room, saw this scene and couldn't help but clench his fists. She slowly shifted her gaze to a corner of the yard. The damaged wooden figures there could be piled up into a small hill. The most important thing is that Qing Fan would not only chop it, but his knife would carry lightning, which would cause the wooden man to burn and become difficult to restore. This is also the reason why Qing Yu was angry. Although the spirit stones in her hand were enough to buy countless wooden figures, she still felt distressed. After all, they had lived a difficult life for several years before, and it was difficult to change their habits in a short period of time. What a waste of money. Thinking of this, Qing Yu couldn't help but pout and looked at Qing Fan angrily, as if he would be in trouble if he didn't explain himself properly. Hearing this voice, Qing Fan slowly turned around and smiled awkwardly. Sister, Nangong Chen, who was sitting on the armchair nearby, was watching this scene with great interest. It was the daily part of the siblings loving each other. As a scream was heard, Nangong Chen's smile became even wider. Soon, Qing Fan came over with a bruised face and limped, but when he saw Nangong Chen, he also smiled brightly. Young master. Nangong Chen nodded, waved his hand, and a light green magic power rushed out and entered Qing Fan's body. Suddenly Qing Fan felt his body soften, his headache went away, and his hand were no longer bent. He looked at Nangong Chen with gratitude and thanked him. This was the first time in a few days that the young master had helped him heal his wounds. Of course, the injuries on his body were all superficial and not fatal. I'm leaving today. Let's have breakfast together before I go. Nangong Chen stood up and spoke. He was dressed in white and looked very extraordinary. He exuded a faint, immortal aura, as if he were a reincarnated immortal. After hearing this, Qing Fan's smile froze and his joy was suppressed. Yes, it's time for you to go. In the distance, Qing Yu, who had finished tidying up the wooden man, also walked over. Seeing Nangong Chen leaving, she thought of something, and suddenly her pretty face turned red with embarrassment. I hope you didn't see how violent I was just now. Master, have you been here all this time? Qing Yu looked at Qing Fan beside him and asked. Yeah, Qing Fan said a little disappointedly. After Qing Yu heard this, he glanced at him and realized something was wrong. What's wrong? Young master is leaving today. Qing Fan said dejectedly, slowly stood up, and walked toward the compound. Qing Yu's delicate body paused for a moment. The light in her beautiful eyes gradually dimmed, and she pursed her lips. That's right, today you will enter the immortal treasure. Qing Yu murmured, and then followed Qing Fan to the compound. It's time to wake up from the dream of these days. In the courtyard, a wisp of fragrance wafted out. As soon as Qing Yu and Qing Fan stepped into the courtyard, they keenly smelled this mouth-watering fragrance. This is... The two of them paused at the same time, and then looked over. I saw that the dining table was filled with all kinds of delicious food, which gave off a fairy-like aura, especially the braised apeng. The meat was shiny and crystal clear, which was very tempting. Seeing Nangong Chen waiting for them at the dinner table, Qing Yu pursed his lips and said, Sir, did you make all this? Qing Fan also cast a curious look. How could such a distinguished man, like the young master, actually cook? Nangong Chen shook his head and smiled. I won't do that. These are all reserved at Zhuaishan Pavilion. Their people just delivered them over. Look, Nangong Chen set his eyes on one place. They both looked at the same time and saw that a large group of people had arrived at the door without them knowing when. They were holding carts and had smiles on their faces. Sir, take your time. We'll be leaving first. One of the chefs smiled flatteringly and said to Nangong Chen. Chapter 148, Immortal Treasure's Birth, Farewell. As Nangong Chen nodded slightly, the figures of these people soon disappeared here. When Qing Yu and Qing Fan saw this scene, they opened their mouths wide with an expression of disbelief. It could be like this. If I heard correctly just now, young master said that these people are from Zhuaishan Pavilion. You know, Zhuaishan Pavilion is the most luxurious and noble restaurant in Chu City. The dishes there are unique. The only drawback is that it is expensive. How expensive is it? It is said that one of the dishes is very valuable, costing tens of thousands of spirit stones. Even some local wealthy people can't afford to eat these. It is said that the mayor of Chu City often saves on one meal because of eating one meal, and the young master actually brought a whole table of dishes. If I'm not mistaken, there are nearly 30 dishes. If the table wasn't big, I'm afraid it wouldn't be able to hold all of them. Thinking of this, Qing Yu and Qing Fan both swallowed their saliva. What are you standing there for? Come and eat. It won't be good if it gets cold. At this moment, Nangong Chen saw that they were a little dazed and spoke. After hearing this, Qing Yu and Qing Fan came to their senses and sat in their chairs blankly, with shock still in their eyes. Sir, how many dishes did you buy? At this moment, Qing Fan couldn't help but ask. Qing Yu, who was standing by, was also a little curious. This was too much. When they got there, they realized there were far more than they had imagined. After hearing this, Nangong Chen changed his mind and responded calmly. I don't know what you like to eat, so I just bought it all. After hearing this, the corners of their mouths twitched and their eyes were filled with shock. All-inclusive? This was the first time they heard that someone had booked all the dishes at Zhuaishan Pavilion. The young master is really rich and inhumane. Thinking of this, the two of them sighed in their hearts, then picked up their chopsticks and started eating quickly. Seeing them start eating, Nangong Chen also started to use his cutlery. When Qingyu saw this scene, he felt mixed emotions and was deeply moved. So the young master has been waiting for them? I'm afraid that the only one who can respect people like them so much is you, the young master. But the young master is leaving. Thinking of this, Qingyu's beautiful eyes dimmed, and she felt that the taste of this bowl of fairy crab porridge was not very good. Qing Fan on the other side did the same. He lowered his head and kept eating. Occasionally, he looked at Nangong Chen with a complicated look, with 1,000 thoughts in his mind. Nangong Chen didn't notice anything unusual about the two people and ate very elegantly. Soon, the compound fell into silence, with only the sounds of chewing as the only sound. Boom, boom, boom. Not long after, 3 bells rang out, deafeningly, echoing throughout the entire Chu city. The sound of the bell was extraordinary, carrying a hint of Taoism. Many people stopped what they were doing. After hearing this, Nangong Chen raised his head and looked into the distance with a deep gaze. Is the immortal treasure about to be opened? He did not forget that the Chu family had a sacred artifact called the Heavenly Bell. Whenever the immortal hidden ceremony was held, it would ring 3 times to warn everyone. After hearing this, Qingyu and Qing Fan looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. This is because they only came to Chu City in the past 2 years. They're not familiar with some traditions. Nangong Chen saw the two people's puzzled looks, smiled, and explained, "This is the Heavenly Bell. When it rings 3 times, it means that the immortal hidden ceremony is about to be held. Now that I'm full, I should leave, but I'll have to trouble you to take care of these dishes." Nangong Chen stood up, dressed in a white robe shrouded in fairy light, with a mysterious aura, very noble. When Qingyu heard this, his face suddenly changed and turned extremely pale. How could it be? So fast. She hasn't said goodbye to the master secretly yet. Qing Fan did the same, lowering his head and saying nothing. "Sir, I'll take you there." Qingyu stood up and spoke, wearing a fluttering green dress, exuding a lively temperament. Seeing Qingyu following, Qing Fan clenched his fists. Now that he was the only one left at the table, he had no appetite to continue eating. He stood up and ran toward the two of them. "Sir, from what they said, the immortal treasure is extremely dangerous. I hope you take care of yourself." Qingyu spoke as she walked, her beautiful eyes looking at Nangong Chen. "Yes." Nangong Chen's face was a little turbulent. He glanced at her and smiled. Seeing that he was about to be escorted out the door, Qingyu hesitated in his heart, gritted his teeth, and said, "Sir, after this separation, will we have a chance to meet again? It's just a hidden place. After we get out, we can still meet. Besides, I'm still in Chu City." Nangong Chen gave her a puzzled look and responded, then stopped at the door and paused. "As for the future, if you want to come and see me, you can go to East Shenzhou and find a place called Tianyuan Dynasty. Oh, by the way, maybe you haven't heard of it yet, but I believe you will know it soon." Speaking of this, Nangong Chen's eyes flashed and he smiled. But he knew that his father was not the type to keep to his lot, and he must be running another dynasty now. If not, he must be doing something bigger. It won't be long before it gets out. After Qingyu heard this, a look of confusion appeared in her beautiful eyes. Eastern Shenzhou, Tianyuan Dynasty? However, after hearing what Nangong Chen said, although Qingyu was confused, he understood most of it. She nodded heavily, her face full of seriousness. "Yes, sir, I will definitely go." "Okay, I'll wait for you." Nangong Chen smiled, then turned into a stream of light and disappeared in front of Qingyu. At this moment, Qing Fan, who had arrived late, saw this scene and couldn't help but tear up. "Sister, do you think we can still meet the young master after this?" "Yes, of course. At least we know where the young master is." Qingyu suppressed his sad thoughts and smiled. After hearing this, Qing Fan's eyes lit up, as if he had found hope again. The Chu family's ancestral land. Chu Shanhe put away the hammer in his hand, walked quietly to a huge, ancient mirror, and muttered, "Old man, it's time to see the light of day again." Behind him, all the members of the Chu family gathered here, looking at Chu Shanhe with complicated expressions. The next moment, a brilliant divine light burst out from the mirror. Boom! The mirror shattered, and countless crystal lights fell from it. A mysterious and extraordinary aura burst out from the mirror.